We want to welcome you back to our open session of our Calexico Unified Board meeting. It is now 6:27. I apologize for being late back from our closed session. So, can you hear me? Okay. Is it on? Is it on? It is on. Okay. So, we went to item D, closed session. We are back to item E, reconvene to open session. Item F, announcement of actions taken in closed session. Mr. Weiler.
First of all, Trustee Aguilar arrived in closed session at 5:16. And in terms of action to report at this time, the board, by roll call vote, approved the initiation of action. The roll call vote was voting in favor was Trustee Aguilar, Trustee Calderon Jr., and Trustee Calderon. Abstaining was Trustee Real. The Brown Act requires that I specify that the direction to initiate an action has been given and that the action, the defendants, and other particulars shall, once formally commenced, be disclosed to any person upon inquiry, unless to do so would jeopardize the agency's ability to effectuate service of process on one or more unserved parties, or that to do so would jeopardize its ability to conclude existing settlement negotiations to its advantage. End of quote from the Brown Act. There's no other action to report at this time, but the board will reconvene in closed session later in the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Weiler. So that was announcements as action taken in closed session. Given the fact that we have quite a few requests for open communication with the board, and also the fact that we have student presentations and recognitions and also employee recognitions, we are going to move item H to immediately before item G. So at this point, Maria, we're going to start doing student reports, student recognitions, and employee recognitions.
Yes. Good evening. We're going to start with student representatives from Aurora High School. Ruth Reese. Okay, we'll go on with Calexico High School, 10 through 12, Anaís Moreno.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anaís Moreno. I'm a Calexico High School senior in ASBS Public Relations. In the month of April, we had our winter sports banquet for all winter sports, which were wrestling, boys and girls basketball, and soccer. Also, we had our Bulldog Idol qualifying round 2, where 3 of our contestants moved to the final round. May is always a busy month for ASB. We start AP testing on May 4th all the way through May 13th of 2016. Now we are preparing for upcoming events such as our 3rd and last blood drive on May 5th of 2016. On May 6th, we will have our Camp 10 Pep Assembly in Tosada Gym at the 9th grade campus. Camp 10's purpose is to give the freshmen a sneak peek of the high school and what it has to offer. On that same day, ASB will host the final round of Bulldog Idol also at Tosada Gym. We will have guest performances, and admission to get in would be $1. In addition, we will host our 4th special prom, also taking place at Tosada Gym. Special prom is an event for all special kids to have their own prom and have a good time with their friends. Our theme is Alice in Wonderland, and it will be from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on May 21st. Finally, on June 1st, we will have our spring sports banquet, and we are expecting 300 athletes and their families. And that's it.
So our next representative is Gabriel Aguilar from Calexico High School's 9th grade campus.
Good evening, board members, administrators, teachers, parents, and fellow students. During the month of March, Campus 9 ASB has been involved in collecting all change for the foundation Pasta for Pennies. The entire campus has raised $1,600 thanks to teachers and students going hand in hand to aid those within and out of our community. Our original goal was $850. Leadership is currently preparing for our spring sports pep rally, which consists of boys baseball, girls softball, and track and field. To congratulate all athletes for their hard work, dedication, and passion to represent Bulldog Pride. In addition, we have prepared for our annual Bulldogs Got Talent, which will showcase 5 acts which include singing, dancing, guitar playing, and magic tricks, which will be held May 12th. Thank you for your time and consideration. Have a good night.
For Enrique Camarena, Julissa Ceseña.
Good afternoon, board members, administrators, teachers, parents, and fellow students. This week at Enrique Camarena, we kickstarted SBAC testing with our 8th graders taking the CSTs for science. Tomorrow, we will have an assembly to prepare our students for this, and we'll be having our annual career fair as well. In addition, we are also helping out the Calexico High School with the decorations for the special prom that will take place on May 21st. On March 14th to the 18th, we celebrated Anti-Bullying Week and had different themes every day in order to get our students to say no to bullying. Also, on March 23rd, we hosted our annual field day where we had fun and moving activities and competitions for all our homeroom classes at Enrique Camarena, both 7th and 8th. We had a great deal of participation and we are proud to declare it a huge success. Enrique Camarena recently welcomed our future Firebirds and gave them all tours on April 15, 18, and 19. Our different clubs and electives gave short presentations on their subjects and what they do in said clubs and classes. Students received forms where they could fill out which electives they'd like to take next year. These forms will be taken into consideration to give students the classes they deserve for next year. Thank you for your time.
And for Willie Moreno, we have Johnny Valenzuela. Oh, not Johnny Valenzuela, we have Mr. Velez.
Good evening, board members, parents, and students. It is my pleasure to be here today to present to you what we have been doing at our school over the last month. Going back to March, again, on March 14th, we had a special assembly where our students witnessed a play called A Walk in Our Shoes, where they learned about mental health and what they can do to support those who are struggling with mental health issues, and what they can do if they feel like they have an issue, who they go to. March 15th, the very next day, we hosted our 6th grade incoming 7th graders for a tour of the campus, and they received a presentation on our course offerings from our own ASB students, AVID students, our honor students. Kicking forward, we have been working on fundraisers to help buy posters, banners for the school to make it a more welcoming place for our students. Last week, our ASB students began selling Domino's Smart Slice Pizza, which is a healthier choice for students. It seems to be very popular. The kids really like it. It's a little different. Whole grain, none of the pasta sauce that it has, but it's very tasty and the kids do like it. Starting in May, as you all know, we are finishing the last leg of our CASP testing. This is the final push where students go onto the computers. Our students, our ASB students, are planning an assembly next Friday to promote readiness, to promote motivation so that our kids can finish off the testing season with success. We will have a Spirit Week that includes Success Week activities, college-going activities, and we do have a special presentation on Friday the 6th for Mother's Day that will include a special performance from some very special guests. Those will remain unnamed at this point. May 13th and 20th, we're going to have some noontime activities where our kids will participate in some fun things as they let off the final steam from testing. And finally, Friday, May 27th, we will be having our spring dance to finish off the year and just have a little bit of fun. Those are all the activities we've had. We look forward to the coming month, and thank you all for being here.
So, Mr. Velez, we will start with recognizing the students of the month for Willie Moreno. The first person would be Cristina Quintero.
Our first student of the month is Cristina Quintero. She is the daughter of Cristina and Javier Quintero, and she has two younger sisters, Andrea and Adriana. Cristina enjoys listening to pop and jazz music and eating cheese pizza. Her favorite color is blue. In school, Cristina's favorite class is language arts. One of these days, she would love to travel to Italy, Hawaii, or Playa del Carmen in Mexico. Cristina's role model is surfer Bethany Hamilton, who lost her arm in a shark attack. She is her role model because she never gave up on her dream to continue surfing. Cristina's goals for the future are to maintain her 4.0 so she can make her parents proud. She wants to attend UCSD and become a pediatrician so she can help children in need and possibly cure them. Cristina, the Aztecs admire your aspirations and hope all your dreams come true.
From Willie Moreno, we also have Manuel Delgado Jr.
Manuel Delgado is the son of Carla Melendez and Manuel Delgado, and he has two siblings, Lorena and Carlos. Manuel's favorite class is physical education. Some of his other favorite things are the color red, pasta, and dubstep. His dream car is a sports car, and in the future, he'd like to travel to any place as long as there are forests. Manuel hopes to maintain his perfect grades because he aspires to attend a great college so he can make the world a better place. He wishes to stop animal cruelty and save and recover the rainforest. The Aztecs stand behind you, Manuel. Congratulations.
Okay, for Enrique Camarena, we have Erica Ventura.
Erica Ventura is an 8th grader Enrique Camarena and is the daughter of Sebastian and Norma Ventura. Her hobbies consist of reading, and her favorite subject in school is math. When Erica graduates, she would like to go to Stanford and become a neurologist. Erica would like to thank her family, her friends, and her teachers because they have supported her throughout the school year. Congratulations.
Also from Enrique Camarena, we have Fernando Rubio Torres.
Fernando Rubio is an 8th grader at ECJH and is the son of Fernando Rubio and Marta Torres. His hobbies consist of being outside and playing soccer. Fernando's favorite school subject is math, and when he graduates, he would like to set up a successful business and open a bicycle shop. He would like to thank his older brother, his teachers, and most importantly, his mom, because they teach him new things, they encourage him to do new things, and they listen to what he has to say. Congratulations.
So for Calexico 9th grade, Ariana Madrigal.
Ariana's parents' names are Rosa, Maria, and Alberto Madrigal. Her favorite subject at the 9th grade campus is biology, English, and literature. Ariana plans on attending Stanford since the university has exceptional medical courses. She plans on majoring as a pediatrician because she has always been fascinated in aiding adolescents. If Ariana could change something in the world, she would alter the perspective other humans have towards one another, which would be in the case of race and viewing those that they believe that beauty should not matter. Congratulations, Ariana.
And also from Calexico 9th grade, we have Tristan Torres.
Tristan's mother's name is Violeta Torres. His favorite subject at the 9th grade campus is Algebra 1 because he enjoys challenges. Tristan plans on attending UCSD because it's close to home. He plans on majoring in the mechanical engineering field because the subject intrigues him. If Tristan could change something in the world, he would want to end discrimination because he believes in equality for all. Congratulations, Tristan.
for Calexico High School's main campus, Karime Romero.
Karine Romero is a senior at Calexico High School. She began studying in the Calexico Unified School District at Mains Elementary in the second grade with Ms. Coronado after coming from Mexicali. Karine is currently taking speech, AP English, AP Economics, AP Calculus, AP Statistics, and Computer Programming. During her time spent as a student at CHS, Karine feels that Mr. Garcia, Ms. Cota, Dr. Martinez have been great teachers, and that physics, AP Calculus, and chemistry have been her favorite classes. In regard to academic challenges, Karine says that AP Statistics with Mr. Castro has been the most difficult classes she's taken. Nevertheless, she loves studying math and science. Karine has been involved in tennis, MESA since 7th grade, CSF, PYL, and FHA. At a school comprised of over 3,000 students, Karine is currently ranked number 6 in her graduating class. Karine will be studying at CETIS in Mexicali next year and intends to be a renewable energy engineer after she receives her university degree. Karine plans to start preparing herself linguistically this summer because of the change in language resulting from the fact that the math and science concepts she will be studying next year will be in Spanish. The advice that Karine would give to an incoming freshman is always do your homework and don't take too many AP classes because it won't allow you for as much time for you to participate in extracurricular activities. Sleep and don't be afraid to try new things to get involved in clubs. Karine enjoys being at school all day long. She likes the people at Calexico High School and the fact that any student can find friends, be in a sport, and be in a family. Congratulations, Karine.
Also for Calexico High School, Jose Reyes Hernandez.
Jose Reyes Hernandez began his education in preschool at Campesino Unidos before going into kindergarten at Dual School. Jose is a member of the Mighty Bulldog Marching Band and is currently enrolled in speech, AP Calculus, AP Economics, AP Statistics, AP English, and Raw Food Technology. Out of 664 seniors, Jose is currently ranked number 3 in his class. Jose states that his favorite teachers in high school have been his AP Psychology instructor, Ms. Knoll, and the teacher that he had for speech, AP English, and mock trial, Ms. Moraga. Jose enjoys being a part of after-school activities. These activities include CSF Treasurer, APYL Secretary, FHA Hero Region President, MESA Representative, mock trial, and playing the baritone in the school's band. In addition, he also tutored AP Environmental Science in the last 2 summers for the EAOP program. Jose says that the hardest classes he has taken in the high school have been his geometry class in the 9th grade with Ms. Martin del Campo and his AP US History with Mr. Oseguera. FHA Hero and Mock Trial came in as a tie of Jose's favorite activities at CHS and is proud of having competed at the national level of FCCLA, Family and Career Community Leaders of America, where he earned gold and for also scoring first place with his team at the Stop and Listen Asthma Forum. Additionally, Jose receives a varsity letter for playing doubles on the tennis team last year. Jose will be attending UC Berkeley in the fall, where he will pursue a double major in political science and environmental science with the intent of going to law school after graduating. Jose's career ambition is to either enter politics or to become an environmental lawyer. The advice that Jose would give to an incoming freshman at Calexico High School is to not be afraid to tackle and take on challenges such as AP classes, extracurricular activities, or sports because you grow as a person. Congratulations, Jose.
Is Mr. Moreno here? He needs to talk to us about his students. And the first student for Aurora High School is Sarai Cárdenas. Sarai? No? No. Okay. How about Mark Mendez? Is Mark Mendez here? No. Okay, Mr. Moreno will inform us in a minute. Okay, Mr. Moreno, can you read us the bios of your students, please?
Yes. Mark Mendez is our first student. Is that correct?
Yes,
Or is it Sarai Cardenas?
either way.
Okay. Mark, is he here?
No.
Okay. Just like at school. No, just kidding. Mark Mendez describes himself as a hard-working student and very responsible. The thing that encourages him is to get a master's degree. His family motivates him to work very hard in school. Some of his goals is to get a high school diploma, get a good job, graduate from college, and go to a great university. Mark's plan after high school is to attend college. The advice he would give to his fellow students is to work hard on all the classes and be responsible. And he was notified today. Thank you.
Thank you. So for Sarai Cárdenas, please.
Is Sarai Cardenas here?
Not here.
I told him to be here. Sarai describes herself as a shy person. Maybe that's why she didn't come. The things that motivates Sarai are her family and her friends. Her goals in life are to achieve and to complete her credits. Sarai's plan after high school is to go to college, and the advice she would give to her fellow classmates is to keep up their good work. Thank you.
Thank you. And I am going to invite Mr. Diego Romero to the podium, please. And I believe he has a special presentation for a young lady by the name of Brittany Coronel. Is Brittany here?
Yes, she is.
Yes,
She's in
she
the
is.
audience.
There she is.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Board members, Superintendent, Ms. Ambriz, and members of the community. My name is Diego Romero, principal of Enrique Camarena Junior High School, and I am very pleased to share with you this fabulous news of the winner of the Imperial County Board of Supervisors Flag Design Competition in grades K-12. I'd like to ask Ms. Brittany Coronel to come to the front, and Mom, do we have family here? Can you please come forward? On April 26, the Imperial County Board of Supervisors awarded one of our very own Firebirds from Enrique Camarena Junior High School a $500 check for her exceptional artistic entry, chosen as the overall winner countywide in grades K-12. Please join me in congratulating Brittany Coronel.
Thank you. And now we will start with our employee recognitions. So our first employee recognition, we're honoring food service employees. So the first one this evening is Jesus Avila.
So our first employee recognition, Mr. Jesus Avila. Mr. Avila is very well known in our department. He goes to different school sites frequently whenever help is needed. Every time I do site visits, I always get approached and receive unsolicited accolades from Chuyito, or Chuyin as he's known. He is well respected by his supervisors for his reliability and hard work. His peers comment frequently about his eagerness to help others, his positive attitude, and for always smiling. When I informed Mr. Avila he was getting recognized tonight, I told him about his high regard his supervisors had for him and the comments. I shared some of the comments from his peers, and I thanked him for his hard work and his dedication. Of course, humble as always, embarrassed as always, and gracious. He told me that it was very easy to smile and be positive when you love what you do, and obviously it shows. Thank you, sir.
And also from Food Services, Alexandra Flores.
Mr. Flores, his supervisor unfortunately was not able to join us this evening, but wanted to so much to share these words about Mr. Flores. Mr. Alexander Flores, a soft-spoken, great coworker, and a gentleman, are a few words to describe him. I think I speak for all in our department when I say that he is always there to lend a helping hand or help if a problem arises during our workday. He always lends an ear when someone wants to help him about their weekend or if they have any concerns that they might have. He is to be commended for being respectful to all, with no exceptions. And Mr. Alexander is also a great coach for Calexico High School girls varsity softball team. When Alexander speaks of his family, he always beams with pride. Alexander will be retiring this June, unfortunately. We will lose a valuable part of our food service team. Congratulations, and thank you for all your hard work throughout the years, Mr. Flores.
Congratulations to Mr. Flores and Mr. Avila. From Kennedy Gardens, we're going to recognize employees from Kennedy Gardens this evening. We will start with Ms. Gabby Flores, recognizing Estela Carrillo.
Estela here.
Estela.
Good evening, board members, public. My name is Gabby Flores, principal of Kennedy Gardens Elementary, and it gives me great pleasure to join everyone tonight to recognize another outstanding member of the Calexico Unified School District, in this case from Kennedy Gardens Elementary, Ms. Estela Carrillo. Ms. Carrillo is our health tech at Kennedy Gardens, and she has been working for our district as a health technician for the past 10 years, all of them which have been served at Kennedy Garden. Before being hired to work at Kennedy Garden, Ms. Carrillo did volunteer work as an office assistant at district office and at our former De Anza Junior High School. Ms. Carrillo is a valued member of our educational team that works closely with staff members, parents, and students. Her mornings shift into high gears very early on in the day. She is a type of health technician that is very warm and nurturing to students. Her office is always busy with countless numbers of students going in there for attention. As a school health tech, stay with me, Ms. Carrillo. She has the unique ability to not only address complaints of illnesses when one exists, but also gets involved in addressing emotional distress that arises when students are experiencing conflict. Ms. Carrillo is very proactive in ensuring student safety and communicating with parents. I'm proud to say that Ms. Carrillo delivers quality care to our students and makes a difference in their lives with her day-to-day interactions. I want to especially thank you, Ms. Carrillo, for being a positive role model in our school, for your patience, for listening to our students, and for loving your job and taking care of our kids the way that you do. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And
She's also class of 82.
And also from Kennedy Gardens, Guadalupe Ojeda.
So it gives me great pleasure to join everyone tonight again to recognize such a dedicated teacher as Ms. Guadalupe Ojeda. Ms. Ojeda has been working for Calexico Unified School District for the past 12 years as an instructor, as a teacher. Prior to that, she served 30 years as an instructional aide, starting 1 year here at Calexico Unified School District and then moving on to Brawley Unified. She's a teacher that makes learning fun and engaging for students and teaches them respect and responsibility. Ms. Ojeda doesn't stop in the classroom. She is always up and around campus ensuring that our students are safe and behaving appropriately. She teaches all of them with love, which is what makes her so special. Ms. Ojeda is also an active member of our 2015-2016 School Site Council and is also the advisor to our school's beautification club. In the beautification club, Ms. Ojeda teaches students how to show appreciation for the school campus. Under her supervision, students volunteer their recess time to help water plants that they have planted and clean our campus. Ms. Ojeda also educates students of the importance of recycling and the role it plays to positively impact our environment. She takes on the largest percentage of the recycling efforts at our school. In addition, Ms. Ojeda is part of our third grade Google Academy team and continues to learn and apply what she has learned in her third grade classroom. But I want to especially thank Ms. Ojeda for having been very supportive as I began my journey this school year at Kennedy Gardens. She's always standing by my side. So Ms. Ojeda, I appreciate you, and it's always a pleasure working with you.
Thank you, Mrs. Flores, and congratulations to Mrs. Carrillo and Mrs. Ojeda. And now we're going to recognize we have Mr. Jeremy Nielsen in here. Oh, well, I'll go ahead and. Okay. So we're going to have Mr. Nielsen recognize a Rockwood employee, Cesar Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez?
Sorry, I wasn't prepared for that one. Bear with me, Ruby. Oh, thank you. All right. Cesar Rodriguez, Senior Custodian at Rockwood Elementary School. Cesar is a longtime employee for the Calexico Unified School District. He has served as a senior custodian for the past 20-plus years at Cesar. Cesar is a hardworking, responsible employee who knows all the ins and outs of the school day and what it takes to keep a school site functioning. He's a good leader and takes pride in his work, and it is an honor to recognize Cesar Rodriguez as Employee of the Month for Rockwood Elementary School. Thank you, Cesar.
And I'll have Miss Nelly Rubio come to the front, please. And I will be speaking on behalf of Mrs. Rubio. Mrs. Rubio has been a teacher at different schools throughout our district, and one of the things that we can tell you about Mrs. Rubio is that she is highly dedicated to improving the learning environment at the schools in which she works. But more than anything, she's more than 100% committed to improving working conditions for the members within her Teachers Association. And by working conditions, she's actually very, very much committed into learning about how to engage teachers in better practices. She has been a lifelong learner and continues to dedicate her summers by being a part of CTA's learning cadres that are sharing strategies for teachers throughout the state of California. And she, on more than one occasion, has come to us to share those strategies with us. So congratulations, Mrs. Rubio, for what you do at Rockwood. I know that you're a teacher leader there. You're very technology oriented, so you're very excited about the Connected Grant. And so thank you for sharing your talents with Calexico Unified. And the fourth department that will be recognized this evening is Maintenance and Operations. And so for M&O, we'll have Mr. Nielsen presenting to Ileani Martinez. Ms. Martinez?
Okay, Ms. Martinez joined our team a couple years ago, assigned as a special education transport aide. She worked her way up quickly to her new position as inventory control specialist. She has proven to be an outstanding record keeper and has been instrumental in restructuring our inventory system at Maintenance and Operation. She is very professional and friendly to all of our many visitors and vendors that visit Maintenance and Operation. In short, Ms. Martinez has only began her career at the Calexico Unified School District, and I am very excited to see the many more positive changes that she will bring to our department in the future. It is a pleasure to honor her as Maintenance Operation / Transportation Warehouse Delivery Employee of the Month. Thank you.
And the last, but certainly not the least for this evening, Jose Perez, Mr. Jose Perez from Maintenance and Operation.
Mr. Perez is one of our electricians at Maintenance and Operation. He has proven to be one of our most effective employees. We depend on Mr. Perez to address our electrical maintenance needs. He is very professional and is always willing to help his fellow coworkers in a variety of assignments, whether it is carpentry, welding, and concrete. He answers the call to duty at all hours of the night. Mr. Perez is the perfect example of a versatile employee as well as a great example of a team player. Again, it is a pleasure to honor him tonight as Maintenance and Operation Employee of the Month.
So we'd like to congratulate all of our students that were recognized this evening and their successes, as well as all of our employees that were recognized this evening, because it's because of your efforts in the classroom, on the fields, in our offices, throughout our grounds, that we can be successful in what we do. So thank you very much. And because we love this particular meeting of every month, it's all about the cake. So we will take about a 10-minute recess, correct, President Calderon, so that we can enjoy some cake celebrating your recognitions of this evening. Thank you.
It is now 7:15. Public. Now, at this point, we are going to go back to the regular agenda, the way that it was supposed to be. In this case, we will go back to public comments. Number one, we have Shana Abati. Excuse me. Ms. Abati, give me 30 seconds. Okay, 30 seconds. Mr. Weiler?
Because there's so many people still here for public comment, there was thought to be a need to announce the nature of the initiation of litigation. The litigation will be commenced against the city of Calexico regarding the swimming pool issue.
Thank you, Mr. Weiler. Ms. Abadi, again, I'm sorry. You may proceed.
Thank you. Again, my name is Shanna Abadi. I'm with the University of California Agriculture and Natural Resources 4-H Youth Development Program here in Imperial County. I manage the program countywide, and I have some really exciting news to share with the school board here in the community. The Board of Supervisors has given us some funding to help start a new club down in Calexico, and so I'm just beginning my way around Calexico and wanted to take this opportunity to share that news with you. For those of you that may not know what 4-H is, it's the University of California's Youth Development Program. We target youth from the ages of 5 to 19. Our program provides a wide variety of enrichment programs. It's inquiry-based, it's youth-led, and we have strong youth-adult partnerships in the program. Projects range from environmental science. I was sharing with one of the Student of the Month awardees that we do a day camp that we have, that we send it out to 4th through 6th graders, but then our high school members come in and they deliver the program. So we have a wide variety of different programs available, from rabbits to rocketry to, different, anything your heart can imagine we have available in 4-H. So I'm really excited for this opportunity. I have prepared some flyers and some informational for anybody to have. I've prepared them for the board as well as any community members. I'll leave them at the door for their way out. And I just wanted to come and share this really exciting opportunity and be able to share this with the rest of the school districts in the different schools. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Abati. And if you would so kindly leave some of those brochures for the public.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. These are actually for the board. I have flyers for the community.
Okay, for the public.
That's I have for both. I have made them for both.
Thank you.
And one, I apologize, and just to share with the community, we do have an interest meeting that's coming up on May 16th at Kiki Camarena Library, and that will be from 6:30 to 7:30, and that's to help recruit adult volunteers and help those interested youth members that might be wanting to join.
Thank you, Ms. Bari. Continuing with item G, comments from the public, and I'm sorry, I forgot to read this. The board will take any and all comments from the public related to an item on the agenda or any other item of district business that is not on the agenda. So I apologize for the late disclosure there. Okay, number 2, Tania Guerrero, please. I'll keep it until. Ms. Guerrero, do you have enough for the public of that information?
That one are 8.
That we need to, it is our policy that if you're gonna give something to us, it's also, it's policy.
For everybody?
Yes, for
Yeah,
everybody.
if you want to see it.
Do you want me to give it to the superintendent?
No, it's just, you already have in your files all this.
Oh.
Well, I'm going to put it here. And if you want, you can read it. Here it is. I'm going to give my speech in Spanish because most of the parents here are Hispanic and our primary language is Spanish.
Sure.
And also I need 3 minutes with 30 seconds.
No problem.
Ok. Mi nombre es Tania Guerrero y estoy aquí para presentar mi queja y enojo. Estoy representando también aquí a los padres que están aquí presentes, pero también estoy representando a aquellos que por alguna ocasión no pudieron asistir. Estoy aquí como madre, como empresaria, como profesionista y como miembro de esta comunidad para denunciar y poner un alto a la conducta delictiva de la señora Claudia Ramírez.
Tiempo. I need to read a statement before.
Okay.
This time, what I'm going to read is not going to count against your time, okay?
Okay.
Excuse me for interrupting, and my time will not incur against your time limit. I do intend to minimize your concerns or prevent them from being mentioned during public comment. However, the board bylaws require that I, as board president, let persons know that whatever a member of the public initiates a specific complaints or charges against an employee, in order to protect that employee's right to adequate notice before a hearing of such complaints and charges, and also to preserve the ability of the board to legally consider the complaints or charges in any subsequent evaluation of the employee, it is the policy of the board to hear such complaints or charges in closed session unless otherwise requested by the employee pursuant to Brown Act within Government Code 54957. As the board president, I also encourage complainants to file a complaint using the appropriate district complaint procedure. For example, if the complaint is against a teacher, the collective bargaining agreement with the Associated Calexico Teachers contains a provision within its section 9.5 for processing of public charges. If the complaint involves a school district administrator, then the district has a regulation AR 1312.1 for the processing of charges. That section with 9.5 and AR 1312.1 are available through the superintendent's office or the office of the assistant superintendent of human resources, and the regulation is also available on the district's website. If you have any questions about the procedures or want to file a complaint, you may contact the superintendent or the assistant superintendent of human resources. In any event, since personnel matters are confidential, there will be no response to any allegations today by any district representative during this meeting. I apologize for the interruption. Thank you for taking the time to express your concerns now or using the district's procedures later. So at this point, again, you will have your
3 minutes and 30
3.5
seconds.
minutes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Maestra del quinto de la escuela Rodwood. Y también al director o exdirector, no sé, de la misma por encubrir los atropellos de esta maestra. No estamos aquí para negociar, señores. Estamos aquí para encontrar una solución. pues la estabilidad, la salud emocional y física de los niños no es negociable. No segundas ni terceras oportunidades a personas que cometen crímenes y que causan este tipo de situación. Le hago una pregunta primero a usted, señor Ciro Calderón. ¿Usted le creyera a su hija si le dijera que yo le digo bruta, tonta, burra, no vales nada? No eres especial. Que le dijera tú solo vas a estar volteando patties en el McDonald's, que la amenazara, la siguiera, la intimidara, la avergonzara en frente de sus compañeros, le pegara, la dejara que se orine en clase, discriminara por su acento hispano, le rompiera la tarea en su cara y aparte de todo, mandara a otros niños para que la acosaran y cuando llorara le dijera, pareces niña de 3 años, la reprobara a propósito y le diera notas solo porque se quejó de mí o porque no me cae bien o no alcanza el estándar que yo necesito. Y cuando usted hablara conmigo, yo le dijera que usted tiene la peor hija de todas, mi clase, que nunca había conocido una niña tan burra como la de usted. Y a lo mejor que todo eso a lo mejor viene de familia, que a lo mejor usted se lo enseñó y a lo mejor no le da buenos ejemplos, porque eso lo aprende de su casa. Y yo le enseñara notas que yo fabriqué y que usted se quejara y se quejara y se quejara y que no pasara nada. Y que después de todo, usted como padre pase por el enojo de que yo me jacte de que nunca va a pasar nada. ¿Por qué? Porque soy influyente y conozco a personas que me protegen. Pues ahora imagínese el coraje y la impotencia que sentimos todos y que siento yo por lo que están pasando nuestros niños y los que pasaron por esta situación. Pero ¿sabe qué? Esto ya no va a volver a pasar porque no lo vamos a permitir. Eso tiene muchísimo tiempo pasando en sus narices. Y no se ha hecho nada. Parece que desconocen sus mismos reglamentos. Código de ética. Por favor, el primer párrafo, si se lee, por favor. UPC Annual Notice 2015-2016. Bully Prevention. Okay, bullying prevention. ¿Cuántas quejas más van a seguir acumulándose en sus cajones y escritorios? ¿Cuántos niños más van a tener que abandonar sus salones y amigos por ser abusados? Como si ellos fueran los culpables, pues las víctimas son ellos. Necesitamos incluir valores, respeto, tolerancia, justicia, amor por el prójimo, cuidar a los animales, la naturaleza, el estudio y salir adelante con el buen trabajo. Estoy de acuerdo que los principios ejemplos empiezan en la casa y en la escuela se fortalecen. Todos y cada uno de nosotros tenemos la responsabilidad de cuidar y proteger a nuestros hijos, no importa que no sea el suyo o el mío. La indiferencia, la apatía, la falta de acción mata y lastima a la sociedad también. Y eso nos convierte en cómplices y a la vez en futuras víctimas, pues esto daña a la sociedad en general. Señores, hay consecuencias de lo que se hace y de lo que no se hace. Para finalizar, it's sad to think that our elected school official will accept bullying of innocent school children, or children are living in fear and mental stress every day. I withhold each of you accountable for all this. You should be ashamed of yourself for allowing this to happen. Fix the problem, please.
Thank you, Ms. Guerrero. Next on the list would be Ana Corona.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Ana Corona, soy representante de los padres, soy la presidenta de la escuela Rollwood. He sido informada de lo que está pasando, que no ha sido un solo papá el que ha venido hacia mí, me estaba comentando, yo no sabía. Y yo creo que no podemos permitir que esto esté pasando en un lugar que los niños deben de sentir seguros y estables, y es donde no lo están. O sea, tenemos que haber una solución y la tiene que ser ya. No podemos dejar esperar un mes más, el próximo año. Tiene que haber una solución inmediata. Y es lo que yo exijo como representante y como presidenta de la escuela, una solución.
Thank you, Ms. Corona. Next on the list will be Miriam Lucas. Lucas?
Good evening, board members. Miriam Lucas, I'm a current student at SDSU Ivy Campus. Hi, Mr. Taylor, do you recognize me? Yes. I was in your honors class back in 2009, I believe. So I'm just here to express my concerns about this so-called professor. I believe she doesn't qualify for any categories that a teacher is supposed to have. For example, I was a former student of hers back in 2006 for ELD classes. I did see some harassment against former classmates, and I believe that is unnecessary and that's unethical to have an environment of, 11 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old? Why would a teacher bully a student? That is something unacceptable, and I believe it has to take action. You guys need to take action. You guys need to consider it. You guys need to know what's happening. Stuff like that shouldn't be allowed in campuses like that. Your students are supposed to be encouraged to do better. Personally, I didn't suffer anything, but my sister did. And just unacceptable. And I hope no more students go through that. And regarding Dr. Lanusa, he should have taken action. I don't know if he's out of the school or anything, but I do see him around SDSU, and he shouldn't be hiding from those problems or covering up any of those things because that's unacceptable. And I just hope no other damages are made or traumas, because like I did, I'm an SDSU right now, and I hope all of the students go through that to do better and not let Ms. Ramirez pull them down. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lucas. Next on our list would be Jason Young.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm not here because of a swimming pool or this or that. You guys are concerned about a swimming pool right now that you guys want to build for the community. That's great. But you know what? It seems like there's a bigger issue at hand. This teacher has physically abused students in the past. What has been done? Nothing. She did it at Dual School, and then you guys moved her to Rockwood. Then this teacher decides to sequester a child, or two children. One she held for a few minutes and scolded him in a bathroom. Then there's another child who was held behind after school, put in a classroom for 2 hours without the parent being notified that the child was being detained, and then he was scolded. There's been penal code violations here. This teacher's still at the campus teaching. Kids are scared, terrified, and I've reached out to people that actually work at the school district, and I got a meeting with a couple of them tomorrow to figure out what the story is on this teacher. I will get to the bottom of it, and I will personally help these parents hold the school district liable unless you guys suspend this teacher immediately and remove her from that environment. And Mr. Calderon, you posted something on Facebook one day about a child being spanked in the Middle East. You said it was corporal punishment. You said you had radical views. That's great. You may or may not have some. But you know what? A lot of people did not agree with the punishment this child was getting. Wow. Or the row of kids that were there that were getting spanked. You guys, a lot of people didn't agree with that. But yet, you're letting one of your teachers here in U.S. soil hit and abuse verbally, psychologically, a child, and you don't do nothing about it? That is disgusting. Is it because you're protecting your friend? I have pictures of you and her on Facebook. I will give every single one of you guys, or I'll leave this packet and you guys can look at it. All their statements is here. The pictures are in the back. This woman is protected by a lot of the elite political people in this town, including Maritza Hurtado, and some other people. All the pictures are here. I will release this to every single media outlet I can find and will listen to me. Because you know what? You guys aren't providing a learning environment to these children. You guys are creating a living hell for them. You know, I've never been dumbfounded for words. Trust me, I'm not one that stutters or can't speak publicly or otherwise. But this really hurts me and pisses me off because you guys are condoning this action for this teacher. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jung. Next on our list will be Marisela Vázquez.
Buenas tardes. Estoy aquí para, porque no sabía muy bien lo que venía, pero pongo aquí mi punto de vista con la maestra Ramírez, porque desde la primera semana que entraron al curso, al año escolar, mi hijo llegó diciendo, mamá, hijo, la maestra hizo llorar a medio salón. Y yo, ¿por qué? No, que porque ella, y a mí personal me lo dijo, yo no estoy aquí para enseñar a nadie. Ella nada más estaba, dije, entonces, ¿cuál es lo que es? Pues yo no estoy para enseñar, no estoy ni en kinder, ella nomás queda para reforzar. A mí me sacó de su salón de una vez porque yo le dije, maestra, le digo, vengo a tomar mi personal punto de vista hacia usted, ya que he tenido he escuchado muy malos comentarios de usted. Y me dijo, pues en sí no vamos a poder trabajar porque no voy a poder tocar a su hijo. Es que usted no puede tocar a mi hijo. No es que no quise decir eso. Mi hijo ha bajado de calificaciones, de ser un niño que lleva los exámenes que he firmado últimamente son de puras Fs. ¿Por qué? Por el ambiente que tiene en su salón. Que le dice a un niño, no vayas a llorar. Y llora el niño, te va a ir peor. Yo no estoy mandando a mi hijo para que esté en un ambiente donde tenga miedo. Ni a mí me gustaría que me tuviera miedo, porque respeto es lo diferente. La maestra Mora Chávez aquí ha estado con mis hijos. La maestra Rubio también ha tenido a mi hija. Han pasado mis hijos, ya mi hijo salió, se graduó de high school, mi hija va en el 10. Nunca ha sido una mamá problemática que venga nomás aquí a querer hablar de los maestros. No, simplemente si estoy viendo que afecta a mi hijo y a los demás niños, como comentó la compañera, de que cuántos padres hay que no pueden estar aquí por el trabajo o por diferentes cosas. Y la maestra me hizo sentir un día como que no sabía expresarme, y tal vez sí, tal vez no sé expresarme como ella me dijo, es que me decía, es que no le entiendo. Y dije, me puse a pensar, tan tonto estoy, que yo le explicaba las cosas, es que no le entiendo, explíqueme bien. Yo creo que cualquier persona que me esté escuchando entiende y sabe que mi propósito al estar aquí, el ambiente bien de mis hijos, de mi hijo en general, porque va con ella, y me dice mi hijo, ay, mamá, qué bueno, ya vamos a salir. Ningún año había escuchado que mi hijo dijera, qué bueno, ya vamos a salir. Él ya no, ya voy a salir, mamá, ya no voy a ver a mis amigos. Ahora ya está esperando los días para salir de la escuela. Pero ok, va a salir él, pero los demás niños que sigan, que va a seguir pasando lo mismo. No estoy de acuerdo en eso, y qué bueno que la compañera hizo eso, porque yo cuando empezó eso, hablé aquí al distrito, hablé con el director y me hicieron sentir frustrada y hasta lloré de coraje, porque me dijo, aquí hablé al distrito y me dijo, pues hable con su director porque no podemos hacer nada. Hablé al director, me dio su teléfono nada más, y tomó una notita de esas amarillas, un recado, le digo, no creo que mi hijo ocupe estar, o una cosa que es importante, una notita amarilla donde se pueda tirar al rato. Y no se me hace justo que la maestra siga emocionalmente, físicamente, no sé si en lo personal con mi hijo no lo ha agredido de hacerle nada físicamente. Psicológicamente mi hijo le tiene miedo. Por eso pido que si se puede hacer algo, que se haga algo al respecto sobre esa maestra, porque no se me hace justo. Si yo le doy un ambiente sano a mi hijo en la casa, que vaya a la escuela a tener miedo a los maestros.
Gracias, señora Vázquez. And last but not least, Erika Rosales.
Buenas tardes. Hoy vengo a acusar a la maestra de provocar a los niños de dolor mental, emocional, angustia, y lo hace de manera intencional, aprovechándose de su posición como maestra. Ella rechaza, insulta, agrede, hostiga, ataca, amenaza. En mi caso me tocó que mi hija fue testigo donde le dio un golpe en la cabeza a otra niña, por la cual estoy aquí, porque de ahí se provocó todo este problema que tengo ahora yo con mi hija. Acecha, atormenta, persigue, humilla, intimida y acosa por medio de palabras y acciones a los niños. Las palabras tienen poder. Hay palabras que hieren, que lastiman, especialmente si son dichas muchas veces por los padres o profesores. Los gritos y las explosiones pueden conseguir disciplina, pero también pueden causar heridas profundas en la autoestima de los niños. El abuso verbal y físico puede quitar la capacidad de confianza de los niños. Cuando una persona abusa a un niño, deja secuelas, daña a toda la sociedad y puede ocasionar y dejar secuelas en ellos, que los puede conllevar a que ellos roben, usen drogas y hagan actos delictivos. Aquí vengo yo porque mi hija es una de las niñas que ha sido maltratada por la maestra. Hablé con el director no hizo absolutamente nada de todo lo que ha pasado con ella. Solamente por ella decir la verdad, por ser testigo y decir la verdad, porque la maestra quiso que dijera lo contrario y ella no hizo lo que ella quiso. Desde entonces la reprobó nomás porque quiso, le quitó grados, le mandaba notas naranjas cuando ella se le antojaba. Llegué a hablar varias veces con la maestra, trató de cambiar las cosas, me dijo que yo era una mamá problemática, que era una mamá que a lo mejor no sabía bien educar a mis hijos, enfrente del director, enfrente de la señora de la Unión. Nadie me escuchó, vine al distrito, la cambié de clase. Al cambiarla de clase, ella siguió, insistió y amenazó, la mandó a amenazar con otras niñas de su clase. Qué pobre de ella que hablara de ella, porque aunque no estuviera en su clase, podía tener consecuencias, la podía reprobar o hasta la podía sacar de la escuela. Entonces a mí no me gustó eso, fui a hablar con el director, me dijo que faltaban 50, 60 días, no sé cuánto para salir, como para que me aguantara. Y pues las cosas no son así. Yo quiero que acabe esto, porque mi hija está teniendo un gran daño. Y no es justo que todos los niños que no puedan estar aquí, sus padres, estén sufriendo esto. Gracias.
Gracias, señora Rosales. So that was item G, comments from the public. If there are no more comments to be made, going once, going twice. That was item G, comments from the public. Okay. We have a comment from a member of the audience that had to leave for personal reasons. Her name is Olivia Romero. And basically she wants to say thank you to the board, and her words are thank you for the shade structures at dual kinder area. So this is a former teacher at dual, so she wants to say thank you for the shades. So that was item G, comments from the public. Item H, we did H1, H2, H3, so now we're going to H4, Educator Effectiveness Block Grant.
Good evening, trustees. I'm going to give a presentation on the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant. This is money that we've received from the state. It's a block allocation. And this money is given to local agencies to specifically improve and teacher and administrator effectiveness. Now, the block grant consists of 4 different areas. The first area is the beginning teacher and administrator support. Second one is coaching and support for improvement. The third one is standards-based professional learning. And then the fourth one is promoting quality and effectiveness. So we're going to go through each one and our proposal of how to best use these funds here in our district. And this block grant is for the next 3 years. So the first part of it is the beginning teacher and administrator support. So the proposal is to use the grant in the following. To continue to support our teacher induction program, which are those teachers that currently hold a preliminary credential. Usually they're in the program for about 2 years in order for them to gain their clear credential. And so this is one of the programs that we want to continue supporting. Previously, it was called the BITSA program, so you may be familiar with it, standing for Beginning Teacher Support and Assessment Program. The other piece of it that we want to use these monies is to support also our beginning administrators. Our beginning administrators also go through a program from the preliminary to get their clear credential as well. So just like teachers go from a preliminary to get a clear credential, they go through a program, so do our administrators. The third part of the beginning and teacher and administrative support is to hire a lead district provider for new teacher pre-induction program. So what we want to do is we want to support those teachers that are new to our district. They're not in an intern program. They're not in the BITSA or in the induction program. They do have a credential that they've been authorized by the commission, so that way they can work, but yet we need to establish a solid program for them. One of the ideas that we would like to have in place is have a pre-induction program that mirrors the induction program because it's very comprehensive and it provides a lot of support when it comes to the professional teaching standards. And so we want to make sure that those new teachers that are not in the intern program or in the induction program, that we do have support for them. The other part that this grant focuses on is the coaching and support. So a couple of areas. It's for the purpose of professional development, coaching and support for teachers and administrators identified as needing improvement. So a couple of ideas here is we have new administrators, and when we have administrators that need support, we turn to different types of academies. Some of the academies that exist out there for administrators, for example, is through AXA, which is the Association of California School Administrators, and they offer a variety of different types of academies, and this is for both administrators that need improvement to administrators that, for enrichment as well. The other piece that we've been working on, and by the way, we did work with and shared the proposals with ACT as well to get their input and their support, being the fact that this grant primarily addresses beginning teachers and teachers that need improvement. The other thing that we talked about was the peer assistance and review, which is known as the PAR. So the PAR is actually there's board policy and administrative regulation, which is 4139. So the procedure is already in place. What we do need to do is work with our local association, so that way we can establish a joint teacher and administrator peer review panel. So the reason we put it in here is because this is something that we will continue dialoguing with ACT. But this would be a goal to ensure that we do have a peer assistance and review in place. The other one is standards-based professional development. Now, the Commission on Teacher Credentialing has established the California standards for teaching, for the teaching profession for teachers. There's 6 different standards. The Commission has also established the California professional standards for education leaders, and there's 6 standards as well. So the proposal here is to look at what the needs are of our teachers, of our administrators, and based on that need, then provide them that support that they need. So these are just examples. So one example would be core standards. If there's a teacher that needs extra support, new teacher or a teacher that needs improvement, in this specific area, then we would give them very specific support in core standards. If there's a teacher, for example, that needs assistance in possibly classroom environment, classroom management, then this would be an area of focus that we could provide that support. For administrators, an example would be, for example, support in master scheduling. At the secondary level, the master scheduling is very comprehensive. It's not easy, and that training is definitely something that becomes very productive, especially if it's ongoing. The other example, for example, would be classroom walkthroughs. How do we train our administrators to do effective walkthroughs to be able to give, effective feedback when it comes to our teachers and better our programs? And so when it comes to the standards-based professional development, these would be examples of areas that we would focus on. Promoting quality and effectiveness. The goal here is to train mentors and providers to support teachers in the induction program, the administrative credential program, and the new teacher pre-induction program. So what we do here, for example, is we would train those current teachers that are our support providers, so that way they can become effective mentors for other teachers. And in the same manner, when it comes to training our administrators, we would continue training those administrators that are mentors, so that way whenever they're paired up with another site administrator, they can become effective mentors as well. So it's how do we continue the cycle of effective leaders out there, both teaching and administrators, to be able to provide that mentoring support. When it comes to the budget over the next 3 years, we've been allocated $640,139. So this is a 3-year block grant. Some of the areas that we intend to focus on when it comes to spending this money and supporting the program is to hire a lead district provider for the new teacher pre-induction program to mirror the current induction program that we currently have, to support the current teacher induction program, support with the teacher credentialing program, and the new teacher induction program. The other area would be to develop a new teacher induction program model, one that would mirror the current induction program because it's very comprehensive and it's very much aligned to the professional standards of teaching. So the process for this is what we have today is a presentation as far as the proposal to the Board of Trustees in a public meeting, and then at the next public meeting of May the 12th, what we would do is then bring the plan to the board for adoption.
Mr. Gonzalez, I believe. Let me get this. There you go.
I believe I brought this up about 2 meetings ago or something, which is, I feel it's a good program. But you mentioned that it's for newly hired teachers and administrators. Will a teacher that's been, say, teaching for 5 years and we notice, or she or he notices that they need to take a class, will they be eligible to take this program?
Absolutely. It's both for beginning and for beginning teachers and administrators, and for administrators and teachers that needs improvement. That's specifically how the block grant is written from the state.
So, but you're focused on the first years of them being hired and so forth?
That's correct. And the research in the study shows that, a lot of the support at the beginning is where the most effect comes in.
Yes.
If you have a very solid program, And that's why the district is so adamant about those new teachers that we hire that are on preliminary credentials to immediately enroll them into the induction program.
And it's important so we can retain teachers at our district.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Gonzalez, now you say that that is for beginning teachers and administrators. Now, so let's say that a teacher wants to become an administrator and enrolls in the program. Will this program help that teacher that is in the program, or is it for administrators that already have a credential?
Correct. It's for administrators that, just like teachers that we hire that are on a preliminary credential, we hire administrators that have a preliminary administrator credential as well. So what we want to do is give them the support, just like we do with the teachers, to gain or get their clear credentials.
Okay. Thank you. Colleagues, any more questions? Ms. Aguilar?
One more question. I know that you said the support teachers are going to become trainers, correct?
Correct.
How about for the administrators?
Same thing. It's the same process.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I'm in support of this program, and I only wish this had been in place a couple years ago, because my daughter worked for the district, and one of the things that I came away with from discussing with her and other new teachers that are still in place right now is that we don't provide enough support for our new teachers. I'll give you an example specifically of Patricia. Patricia had 9 or 10 students that were an issue in the classroom, and apparently we promoted those students as a block, and they were placed in her class, and so she was in a new teacher PIP program and so forth, and the classroom management became so bad that she ended up having to resign. And it's not just because of her that I'm talking, I'm speaking out. It's that actually, when you brought it up, Valencio, I wanted to say something, and I held back. And I said, you know what? No, say something, because I talked with some other new teachers, and they're talking about the same thing. They're drowning. If you've got a new teacher, I'm not saying have them in a bubble, but you can't expect a brand new teacher to have those classroom management skills as a seasoned teacher, you know? And I really hope that we as a district and ACT work strongly together, because I can tell you, it really shook Patty's and other students their confidence in, well, maybe I'm not cut out to be a teacher. And so then they either resign or they take off or what have you. And I think it's important. I personally think that not only should we have an induction program, I think we should partner with an institution to grow our own. I mean, if that's what the induction program means. But I mean, and I'm talking about, like, when we're talking about support, I'm not talking about that somebody pops in for 15 minutes and observes. I'm talking about that you make time to sit down with that teacher and say, okay, where's it going? I'm observing you. I'm going to see you in between when I'm handling referrals, in between, you know, if that's what, maybe is that the role of the support teachers that we
No,
have?
it's more being available to, as a mentor of someone who can be observed. And, you know, the teacher that's in the induction program then gains insight and is able to see effective strategies being implemented by a master teacher or the mentor teacher, and also meetings between the mentor teacher and the new teacher.
So is it kind of like team teaching? Is that what you're saying?
It is, I'm going to say, similar to not team teaching where they share students, but teaching where it's a support where you have a master or a mentor teacher that is there to provide that support for that new teacher coming in for that teacher to observe that teacher, for that new teacher to be available.
And I think when you do match those new teachers with those master teachers, I think it's important that you have a holistic approach in which that master teacher it has taught or has knowledge of what the new teacher's assignment is.
It's
You know
not
what I mean?
only
That you've got somebody that's teaching mostly ESL and you pair them with somebody who's teaching regular English or teaching AP, AP or what have you. How is that master teacher going to provide insight?
One of the goals is to align the content area mentor teacher with that teacher induction program that's teaching the same content area. And that mentor teacher is also an experienced teacher as well, not a new teacher.
All right. No, I'll get off my soapbox. But let's grow our own and let's grow our own and let's provide the support to our new teachers and our ongoing teachers that need that support desperately. Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez, thank you, and we look forward to the plan on the next board meeting. Thank you. So that was item H4. Item H5, information regarding Varner Jam bleachers, Warfield grandstands, and press box.
Okay, and I'm going to have Mr. Nielsen and Mr. Sanders do a brief presentation. Ms. Randall would have been here to do that, but she is extremely ill, and she actually came to work today for a few hours, but she went home. She's very ill. So I know that there's some more of an in-depth presentation regarding our bleachers, so go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity to present the details of the Varner Gym bleachers and the Wardfield grandstands and the track layout tonight. So we start our presentation with the Varner Gym floor plan and bleachers and give you an accurate description of exactly the layout of those bleachers. So here we have the floor plan of Varner Gym. On the left side, our left is the Barn of Jeremy's. So this would be considered the home side, and we have this as the visitor side. Now, a couple of new features that we'd point out with the modernization of Phase 1 and Phase 2 is that we have added side volleyball courts. So there'll be a total of 2 side volleyball courts. Now I want to point out with this layout, we've maximized the number of seats that the facility can support. And so in doing so, we have 12 feet of clearance here on the north end. So this is the entrance that people typically are accustomed to coming in and out of. Okay, but the exit-in requirements, we needed to add a new exit door. So that's down there in the that would be the southeast corner of the gymnasium. We had to add a new exit door, and that's considered the main exit. And so if you're wondering why there's a 12-foot clearance on this end, and on this end here we have 16-foot clearances, because this is now considered the main exit, and we did that in order to maximize the number of people that could be seated in those bleachers per the fire code. Okay, our next slide shows an enlarged plan of the home side bleachers, which would be the west side. Okay, so I'll point out a few features here. That's going to seat 520 people comfortably. Now you could fit in another 55 people if you were to touch and really squeeze in there tight. So you can fit a total of 575 people in there if you really push the limits on the people in the bleachers. But it's per design, it's designed to hold every 18 linear inches is designed to hold one person. There are 3 aisles, so there's one aisle, there's an aisle in the middle, and then one on the other end. Okay, the visitor side bleachers is very similar to the home side bleachers, but it's just a little bit shorter in order for us to meet the minimum exit requirements. And we can fit comfortably 476 persons on that side, or up to 531. So that would give us a total, for home side and visitor side, a total of 1,106 persons in the bleachers. So this next slide shows a section cutting down through the center of the bleachers so that you can see the projection, the number of rows, and then this is the bleacher in the open position. So here's your seats here, and then this is the bleacher in the closed position. So when it's closed, it's going to stack 3 feet 2 inches away from the wall, and when it's open, it's a little bit more than 21 feet extended. Now this next slide here shows a picture of a typical seat, and I brought with me some samples of the plastic seats. And they make 20 standard colors, and there's 3 colors that are applicable to the Calexico Bulldog colors, and that's the garnet and the gray and the white. So you have those 3 samples. So what we're proposing is that all of the seats would be the Calexico Bulldog garnet, with the exception of the CHS that would be spelled out when the seats were in the closed position. So every one of those seats then would be garnet, except for in the locations required to spell CHS. Okay. And that's just a typical lettering that can be done on the intercal bleachers that you approved at the last board meeting. Okay. So any questions on the bleachers, Varner bleachers?
I'm sorry I had to step out for a minute. I don't know if you already said this, but when is the estimated time of completion for this project?
The estimated time of completion is the end of August for the bleachers.
For the bleachers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And for the gym.
Well, that would be the last item. So everything, everything would be complete at the first part of August, except for the bleachers. Yeah, because of the lead time and the DSA approvals. So
Okay.
we can get all the other. We can get the roof done. We can get all the painting done. All of the HVAC equipment done, all of the floor done, and that will be done in May, June, and July, and then we'll just be waiting on our DSA approvals to actually put the bleachers in. So
Okay, so August.
yes, and it's been submitted now to the state. So
Thank you.
okay.
Colleagues, do you have any questions for Ms. Sanders? Oh, I'm sorry. Are you done? You're not done?
No.
No. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
So the next slide is the track, and we wanted to show the layout of the track relative to the new bleachers, or the grandstands. So this new slide here shows an 8-lane regulation track and new home side grandstands and visitor side grandstands. Now, in order to fit an 8-lane regulation track, we're really pushing the limits of the existing light standards, which are located here. So our new fence, the outside edge of the new track is right up next to those light standards in order to fit an 8-lane regulation track. Okay. This next slide shows a section of the track and the required construction. So at each end of the track, this is the high side, or the outside gets a new concrete curb, and then the inside also gets a new concrete curb, and then we have 2.5 inches of AC paving over 9 inches of Class 2 base, and then, of course, on top of that is our all-weather surface. Now, I brought a sample of that all-weather surface so that you could see a sample of it that I think Mr. Nelson passed around. Okay.
Is this, Mr. Sanders, is this kind of similar to what they did or you did in Calpat?
Well, the company that installed the all-weather surface at Calipatria is now bankrupt, but many of the personnel that used to be at that company, they're also, or they now work for this new company called Bain and Track, and it's this product is considered an impermeable product, and it's equal to the track that was installed in Calipatria. Now, there's 3 different levels of all-weather surface. Okay, there's the inexpensive product, which is permeable, which it allows water to soak down through and collect at the pavement and then drain off. This one is impermeable, and then there's one more product that is typically used at the college level. That's also impermeable, but it's even more expensive. So we're recommending this a sample, or this particular product of which we brought a sample here tonight because of its impermeability and its long life. Okay. So this next slide shows our typical grandstand layout for the home side. So we want to point out here that the home side is designed to support 2,000 people. These lines here represent the aisles that would take you to the top of the bleacher section. On each end, there's a ramp or a staircase here, and then a ramp that gets you up to this aisle level here. So this level is at 5 feet high, and then the first seat level here is at 4 feet high. I'll show you a section in a few minutes, but it takes stairs to get up to this level. Okay. We also have a press box. There's a door on each end of the press box, a level landing on each end, and then stairs going up to the press box. And again, I'll show you a section here in a minute so you can see the different elevations of the bleachers, press box, and aisleways. So here is a section of the home side bleachers. There's a total of 19 rows. The press box is, of course, located at the top, and that's a 12-foot by 30-foot press box. Okay, typically, press boxes are 10 feet. Yours is 2 feet wider. We want to point out a few features of your grandstands. There's steel columns that are supported by concrete footings, and then steel I-beams. And then perpendicular to those steel I-beams is the aluminum planking. So everything above that I-beam is all done in aluminum. Okay? Now, this is the aisleway or that walkway that I spoke of earlier. Here in the front are the ADA seats. Okay, so if we go back to this slide here, those ADA seats, that's what those symbolize there in the front. Okay. So your ADA seats are located here, and this is a walking aisle here. Now, in many of the bleachers that we're familiar with, or grandstands that we're familiar with, the very first row is down at this walkway level, so that if you're seated down at that walkway level and people are walking like typically we're doing at a football game, you can't really see. And so what we've designed here is we have this first seat that's 4 foot higher. Well, the walking platform is 4 foot higher than the aisleway platform. Okay? So that allows you to sit in that first seat and still be above all of the people that are going to be walking in the aisleway. And then that aisleway, we point out, is also 5 feet high. Okay, so these are going to be elevated substantially. That first seat is 9 feet high. Okay, this next slide on the grandstands shows the visitor side plan, and this is designed to support 1,000 people. And the layout is very similar as far as the section goes, the stairs and the ramps. And then the last slide is an exterior elevation and a floor plan of our press box. So this is the floor plan. We have side windows and front windows, the full length of the press box. There's a door on each end. Here's the ladder and roof access hatch. There is a built-in counter that runs all the way across in front of the windows. Okay? So there's our floor plan. And then here is the exterior elevation. So there, the blue represents the windows. And I'd point out that those windows will fully open up. So when the weather's nice at night, we'll be able to open those windows completely and turn off the air conditioner. But in the event that it's warm outside or perhaps cold outside, you will be able to close the windows and operate either a air conditioning or a heater.
Go ahead.
You did mention last time that there would be ramps for the ADA, right?
Yes, the ramps for the ADA. So on the home side, these represent the ramps for the ADA. So they're right next to the stairs. So at both ends of the bleachers or the grandstands, you have there's the home side there, and so that represents a ramp. So because of the height, what happens is you start, here's the ground level here, and you travel up to this height here. There's a level landing, and then you come back. So there's a switchback.
Got
right?
it.
And that concludes our presentation tonight on the upgrade on the layout of the Varner bleachers and Warfield grandstands and the press box.
Mr. Sanders, first of all, I want to. All right, Mr. Sanders, first I want to thank you for this presentation. We asked for it and you gave it to us, which is good. Now we know what we're buying. The only question I have for the press box, how are these windows going to open? Just side, they go to the side, or?
Yeah, so the problem if they go to the side, we're not going to be able to open them up completely because one window would still need to track in front of the other. So what we have is a system where they would hinge on this center bar here, and then from there they would fold up. So that will allow us to take each one of those 6 panels and completely open it up.
All right, that's good.
Yes.
Because I understand that that's an issue with the rest of the fields out in the valley. Okay, good.
Now with that said, we haven't done that on the side windows here. The side windows here would just be a sliding window because there's no overhang on those. But the front windows that you see out of, those would open up 100%. So you can basically you can have the feel that there's no window there at all. It's just completely open.
Great. Thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
We're really excited about getting this built. It's going to be great.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Colleagues, do you have any more questions? No? Ms. Aguilar? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sanders.
If I could, I'd like to prepare a color board and an artist rendering for the future board meeting. And so if I can I take those color samples back because I want to put them on the color board? Okay. Thank you.
And the other one is?
Yeah. And, your piece of track is out there somewhere in the public.
They passed it out.
Why not?
Okay, so that was item H5, information regarding Barnett Gym and bleachers, Warfield grandstands, and press box. Before we continue, we have another request for public comments. Maritza Hurtado. Well, if you want to wait for the item, okay, we'll wait for the item. Thank you. Item I, consent agenda. All items appearing will be acted upon one motion without discussion. Colleagues, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
There's a motion by Mr. Calderon Jr., there's a second by Mr. Ortega. If no more questions or comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Voting in favor of Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, myself, Mr. Calderon. Item J, information items. Item J1, Superintendent's Report. Maria?
Okay, good evening, trustees and community. Just a lot of, well, mostly good news to share. Gates Millennium Scholarships, for those of you who are aware of what the Gates Millennium Scholarship, we have a poster over here, how over the years we've had several students receive the Gates Scholarship. And it's usually it's a scholarship that pays for their education completely, I believe for up to 10 years. So most students that are recipients of this scholarship are able to get their bachelor's or master's and even doctoral studies covered through this grant. So this year, I've been told that is the last year of the Millennium Fund. So over the years so far, $22 billion have been paid out, nationally. And Calexico, as you can see, has gotten a lot of the scholarships. And this year, we will be adding another name to that list, and his name is Arturo Medina. He's a senior at Calexico High School, so congratulations to him on that. We also had a law enforcement skills competition at IVC this past weekend, and a lot of our kids did very well. We had first places in physical fitness all around. Cesar Salas, first place individual physical fitness, Aaron Montes. Third place for report writing for Fernando Reyes. First place for report writing, there was a tie, and both of them were our students, Andrea Figueroa and Andrea Quiroz. And we also had a second place quiz bowl, and we had a team of 7 kids who were winners in that. Earlier, Mr. Romero announced that the Imperial County Board of Supervisors had a flag design contest, and one of our 7th graders at his school won, so that was Brittany Coronel. Also, the Imperial County Board of Supervisors this week awarded a scholarship to our school district of $5,400, and that's what I believe will be used towards funding the visits to the Smart Farm for our kindergarten groups. Also, Imperial Valley's chapter of AXA, our Association of our Administrators, they host AXA Administrator of the Year and Teacher of the Year. And this year, for Teacher of the Year, we have one of our dual school teachers, Vanessa Lopez, who's going to be recognized. And that'll be on May the 12th at the Old Eucalyptus. Unfortunately, that evening is also a board night, so hopefully one of our board members will be there along with Ms. Hansen to congratulate Ms. Lopez out there, so I'll let you fight amongst yourselves who's going to be the board rep over there. But I do think it's important that our teacher be supported by one of our school members. I love to go to this event, but I think I need to be here for the board meeting, so cancel the meeting. Hey, I'll go for that. It's always a wonderful evening. That's a board decision. Okay, I wanted to add that at this time, there was no formal response from the City of Calexico regarding our Measure H funding or their Measure H funding contributions towards the swimming pool project. So, I mean, I was asked earlier today, and officially I can tell you that we have not received a response from the City of Calexico on that matter. And that is all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Ambriz, and again, congratulations to Ms. Lopez from Dual School. We wish her the best, and we'll do the best to see what we can do to be at that event, if we can.
The only one thing that I would add, that before Mrs. Olivia Romero left, she did leave her comments with me. She said that she said it's very good to come in and tell you what needs to improve or what's going wrong. She said, and I've been here to advocate for the shade structures at Dual School, and she says, and I could come in and say, you know, what I think is wrong, but I also think that it's important to thank the board and the school district for when things are being done right, and that's why she came to extend her appreciation for the kinder area shade structures at Dual School, and she said that she's noticed that they're coming up at the other schools as well, so that it's noticeable. And so I told her there's an ongoing commitment to put more shade structures throughout our district over the next 2 or 3 years as well. So I just wanted to share her comments with you.
Thank you, Ms. Humphries. That was our superintendent's report. Item J2, association comments. ACT, Mr. Taylor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, members of the district, and the public, students. Oh, I don't know if there are any more students here, but we do definitely have at least one other teacher. Before the school board meets again, a very special day will have passed, May 11th, Day of the Teacher. I bring this up tonight because it is worth reminding ourselves that when we talk about teachers, sometimes we get wrapped up in abstract ideas like line items on a budget or the union or class size or any of the other myriad of issues and talking points that surround this great profession. I don't want the board or the district or the public to lose sight of the other part of who your teachers are. On a daily basis, we open our classroom doors to tens and even hundreds of young people, and we do whatever we can to help bring our students to the best possible outcome. Every day we seek to inspire. I would like to take this time and share with you my own story about a teacher who inspired me. This is not me. Okay, this guy's a little older than I am right now. But this is a picture of my 11th grade English teacher, Mr. Hames. This is the man who opened his classroom door when I was a student and made me care about myself and what my own future held. He was compassionate and encouraging at a point when the decisions a young person makes can literally decide their fate in life. He spoke to me and all the rest of his students not like we had to be managed and tested, but as if we were equally as important as he was, and equally as integral to this world. He made his students better readers and writers, better thinkers. He made us care about what he was teaching, but he also knew how to make us laugh when we needed to. He shared a bright spark of his life with us, and he is my own inspiration for becoming a teacher. He is the type of person I aspire to be every day I open up my own classroom door. This picture of him hangs on the wall behind my desk and will remain there as a reminder of how important this teacher was to my life. I hope that when you think back on your years in school, that you also have that teacher, or maybe a few of them, who really made a difference to you, who inspired you to become who you are today. On May 11th, please think of them, and think of the hundreds of people like them who open their own classroom doors every day in this district, who welcome in our students and lead them down their own paths of inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Next would be CSEA. Do we have somebody from CSEA representing? No? Going once, going twice. Okay. So, item J3, pool update.
Good evening, trustees, colleagues, members of the public. My name is Noreen McGillian. I'm your business manager here at the district office, and I'll speak on behalf of Ms. Randall tonight. since she is out for the evening. We currently don't have any pool updates other than Senator Husso has confirmed the ribbon cutting ceremony for June 10th. We have an item further down on the agenda to discuss the funding of the pool, which we can address now or leave until further notice. So that's all updates for the pool this evening.
Perfect. Thank you for filling in for Ms. Randall.
Absolutely.
That was a pool update. Insurance Committee. Do we have a report on Insurance Committee? No? Mr. Gonzalez? There's nothing to report? Well, if there's nothing to report, there's nothing to report. Oh, okay. I guess there's nothing to report.
Insurance Committee is on May 3rd here in the boardroom at 3:30 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. That was the Insurance Committee report. ROP Committee report, Mr. Calderon Jr.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Just to report that on April 19th, IVROP had their showcase and recognition at the Casa de Mañana, where CTE students were recognized. Some of the Calexico students were recognized, but I'd like to see if we can next year increase it. I understand that some of the teachers were on a field trip with some of the home economics and so forth, so I hope that next year we can participate. Maria was there and some other board members were also there. So again, thank you for your attendance, and it's important. As Ms. Ambriz was mentioning, we had the law enforcement CTE participate last Saturday, and I'm very proud to say that we took a lot of first places, and that means that we are doing the job and hopefully getting our kids ready for their career pathways. Again, thank you, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Calderon Jr. That was the ROP Committee report, well, actually, the ROP report. Safety Committee report, Ms. Ramirez.
Good evening. We did hold a safety committee meeting on April 15 where our committee members provided input on our LCAP Goal 5 on pupil engagement and school climate, and then Goal 7 on facility and safety climate, and those recommendations were provided to our core committee during our meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. And last but not least, LCAP Committee report.
LCAP, we had, on April 18 and April 25th, we met with our LCAP core committee to review all of our actions. In our discussions, we did come to an agreement of combining some of our goals and then embedding another goal, like our English learners, among our other goals. So currently we have 8 goals. We will be going down to 6 with the combination of goals. And as we worked, we looked at all our stakeholders' input. I did meet on April 20th with students from the De Anza, or 9th grade campus, and our main campus, and we did have student input in ensuring that we had multiple representations. I worked with Ms. Salgado, our assistant principal, and we had students that represented our different groups, for example, migrant, ASB, academic at risk, homeless, foster, advanced students, students who are clients of behavioral health, athletes, career tech, and ELD students.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. That was the LCAP Committee report. Item J4, board reports. These are informational reports by board members. No action is taken. Ms. Aguilar.
All right. Good evening. Seeing the wonderful achievements of our students tonight, and the recognition of our employees brings back into my mind a couple meetings ago where we turned down a proposal to record things that are going on in our district, and I think that it's important to record those things and be, this is our way to showcase our students, showcase our employees, and showcase the improvements and progress of projects within the district. So I would like to ask my colleagues to reconsider that denial of that program. I think that's important. It's important. I think it's important enough to look at it and look at it again and think of it in a different way as to how we're showcasing this. That's a positive way. Secondly, last year, I believe it was last year, maybe a little bit more. Maybe Mr. Padilla Jr. can refresh my memory. We implemented, or we, and I can't say we, you, the board previous to my time being appointed here, the board considered a program called Naviance. And that program is a really positive and I would say even crucial tool for counselors, in particular to be able to guide and to be able to document a student's progress towards going for a college education, which way they're going. And if I'm not mistaken, and actually I came before this board and I spoke and I advocated for it because I was aware of that program back in 2008, I believe, when I was a part of a college going initiative as a recruiter. So I know that the program works. I know that there's strong successes being recorded in San Diego County for it. And we're spending money paying for that program, and it hasn't been implemented. I mean, it's implemented, it's at our sites, but it's not being used. Our counselors are not being trained. And I don't know whether that's logistics or whatnot, but in the meantime, we're paying good money for that. Secondly, it's not enough just to, say, okay, here's the program. The program doesn't create miracles by itself. We had a college going center at the high school, and that went by the wayside. And right now they're located in the band room. Fifth period gets pretty loud, people, when you've got the drum line. You've also got computers there that are slow. If we want to provide our students, our counselors, and actually even our parents, because this program has parts of it available, but we're not providing that support, we're not providing the means for the success of this program, and I'm going to ask that we address it. Actually, nobody came to me. I went digging because I was like, well, haven't heard, as well, to my surprise and shock, because I went to a career presentation today for San Diego State at a middle school, and I ran into my old colleagues from recruiting. Come to my surprise, they had no knowledge that Naviance was even implemented at our school district. And they're like, wow, man. So we really need to provide support. We can't just pay lip service in terms of providing college access. Look at the students we just had in front of us. They're succeeding in spite of. Okay? So, and I'm willing to commit. I want to reach out to Gabby and Ms. Williams, or anybody what you need to do to be able to provide access. I don't know where we're at in terms of room at the high school for being able to regroup that access, okay? And I think that's it. But we need to commit and provide an environment for success.
Thank you, Ms. Aguilar.
Thank
So
you.
I take it that it would be wise to talk to our superintendent and see that she can look into the Naviance program and what is it that we stand with the program.
From what I understand is that there's been some delay or being able to get everybody, coordinate with the trainer and counselors. But in the meantime, we're almost at the end of the academic year. And if I recall correctly, I think you guys approved it for 2 years with a potential of extending it to a third. But essentially, this first year is gone because, and it's paid for.
So would be the wishes of the board to give direction to Maria to give us a report for the next board meeting on this program and see what plans we have for the program for next year? Would those be the wishes of the board?
Well, Mr. President, if we're paying for this program, why aren't we using it?
Except, well,
I think it should.
So that's what I'm saying. So if
As,
she can-
as well, as a matter of fact, I'm taking a vested interest in this because I know it works. So I did talk with Denise Cabanillas out at ICOE. She was at that same event, and so, like I said, she said, maybe there's other things that we don't know. I don't want to, and I'm not saying it to rain on anybody's parade or point fingers, but let's use this tool, please. You know, I mean, if we can, if we can focus, am I? Hello? If we can focus on reassigning them a place where students can locate them and be able to successfully work with them, you know, I would like to work with Denise and Ms. Williams and see what it is, because I know Maria's got a lot of stuff on her plate, and if there's stuff that I can do to help in that aspect and help, you know, maybe have Denise facilitate, you know, some kind of discussion, but you know, but that's.
And Denise is still the college coordinator
That's correct.
right?
That's correct.
And we do pay into the P16 council, right?
That's
Maria?
correct.
So we paid into that, so ICOE needs to come and help us if that's the case.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
See, she was like, just tell me, set it up the meeting.
Exactly. So Maria, if you, for the next board meeting, if you could come up with a plan, at least for next year, let us know what is it that we can do, or that you guys can do.
And we may need to consider extending it another year, because like I said, this year's gone.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Aguilar.
Thank you.
Ms. Real?
Good evening, administrators, community of Calexico. I know we don't have our students in here anymore. I just want to congratulate them for the recognitions. And it's students like this that make members of the community. I actually had somebody reach out that wants to participate in the scholarship program at the Calexico High School. So I think it's amazing to see. I think we had like 2 students today, 14 AP classes. I mean, you really don't see a lot of students like that. 3rd in his class. It's amazing. So I'm really excited to get started with this scholarship program that this member of the community is going to offer for Calexico High School. And like Ms. Aguilar mentioned about us starting to record the videos, I think, you know, I wasn't opposed to the idea. I do like it. It's just that, like how Mr. Calderon mentioned, we have to be savvy as far as our spending. But I think it is a good idea to get it out there, so maybe more members of the community of Calexico would like to participate in programs like this, so that we were speaking to one of the students, and he's saying that he's short like $8,000 a year to pay for his full tuition, right, to UC Berkeley and UC Davis. So I think it is a good idea, and hopefully it's something we could talk about for a future board meeting. And maybe we could get more members of the community involved in this scholarship programs to benefit our students and to actually help them not be afraid of saying, oh my God, my parents are going to be impacted with this debt if I don't get a full ride scholarship. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Real. Mr. Calderon Jr.?
Well, good evening, everyone, again. Just quick, I also want to congratulate our students. The quality of students that we had here before us tonight only speaks about the teachers, the administrators, and everyone that works for this district. We had a kid that he was 3rd in his class, a young girl that was 6th in her class. So that tells us that these kids are really trying out there. And I like to commend them, commend their parents, because it all starts at home. These kids are growing, and hopefully they can go on to college. I also would like to say happy belated Administrative Day to all of, I guess it was yesterday, I wasn't here, so again, happy Administrative Day. And one thing, even the employees, we have an employee that was recognized tonight. He has about 3 years with the district, and we had one that's about to retire. So that tells you the quality of our staff. regardless of, he's already out the door. So when is he, Mr. Venegas, when is he retiring?
This June.
This June. So he's not even on retirement mode. He's still working out there. And I just want to know and let you know, that's the reason we have these recognitions, because we want to tell you that we want to thank you for the hard work and dedication out there. Sometimes we forget to even say thank you, but I believe that it was meant especially for Mr. Flores. I mean, he's been around longer than I have probably been in Calexico, but again, thank him that he still is out there doing his job. And again, thank everybody. And yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I would be on retirement mode by now, but that's good. That's good too.
You are. That's
Yeah.
good.
All right, again, and thank you, public of Calexico.
Thank you, Mr. Calderon Jr. Mr. Ortega?
I have nothing at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega. And let it be known that Mr. Ortega arrived at, did you say that already? At 7:44. Thank you. Thank you. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our meeting. And there's a lot that I have to say, but at this point, I'll just say what needs to be said. Everybody's important in this community. Everybody's important, whether you've been on the job for one day or like Mr. Flores. What is it? How many years, Mr. Calderon Jr.? How many years for Mr. Flores?
He was 30 plus, 35 plus, or how many years?
No, I don't think they mentioned that. They
No.
just said
Yeah.
it was.
But I know he's
So-
up in his 30s, correct? Something like that? No? High 20s, 20s? Well, all right. Well,
That wasn't mentioned.
So regardless, we everybody is important. Everybody has a job to do, and there's no job less important than the other. We need to keep that in mind, especially with our new hirees. They come into the job. They have high expectations of themselves, and it's up to us to make sure that they have that high morale, that they keep that momentum going. So bless you. So let's just keep that in mind when dealing with our employees, and when dealing with especially with new employees. Those students that they just had over 20 AP classes, I am so impressed with those two students. And I immediately grabbed them and I told them, go to Ms. Aguilar because I want you guys to stay here in Calexico. Unfortunately, one of them told me that it was okay for to release what he told me. He has asthma, so he cannot stay here. Yeah, otherwise he would have stayed here, but he needs to get out of the valley for that reason. But so we told him, well, okay, go out, get your degree and come back. Yeah, hopefully by that time you'll be better. So, nothing makes me prouder to say that these kids are going places. They're gonna put the name of Calexico high up in Berkeley, at CETIS, or wherever they're going to go. So it brings a smile to my face when I think of those students. And again, thank you for your hard efforts. And let's keep Calexico going, okay? Thank you. And that's all I have to say today. That was item J4, board reports. Item J5, discussion regarding the CNG pump. Before we do that,
We need to
I'd like
extend.
to make a motion to extend our meeting, and like I said before, to 10 o'clock. So I motion to extend the meeting to 10 o'clock. There's a second by Mr. Ortega. For the questions or comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0, voting in favor of Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon. Again, item J5, discussion regarding the CNG pump. I brought up this, who brought it, Mr. Ortega? Did you bring this item? Okay.
We've brought it up, and it's an item that continues to keep coming to the surface. There's always we have complaints from our local customers, if you will, that use the pump and say that it's not dispensing properly. We do have a repair vendor, which is Green Fix America. They're the ones that are contracted to do the repairs from the original grant. The reality is and Mr. Nielsen can correct me if I say anything incorrect, but we've attempted to repair the pump many times, and it'll work for a bit and then it'll go off balance again. We've tried to have the Department of Weights and Measures here in the county certify our pump, and they won't because it doesn't dispense properly, and it's usually dispensing against the district. You know, it actually dispenses more to the favor of the consumer than it does to the district. The profit on it is not significant enough for us to call it a blooming business. We don't really make a profit on it. We just barely make do. So in speaking with GreenFix, what would it take to make this a functional pump? The recommendation is that we replace the pump altogether. The replacement of this pump is anywhere in the ballpark of $350,000 to $500,000. We do have one or two buses that use the natural gas. One? Oh, three buses that use the natural gas. And so we could still have the pumps continue to service our buses. But the reality is I don't believe that it's yielding the results that it needs to for the district to continue to encumber the expenses of repairing the pumps, the expenses of maintaining the pumps, and much less the expenses of installing a brand new pump. And so I was asked to say, well, to bring information regarding the CNG pump. I really believe that it's really not in our best interest to continue with this. We've checked with the state through where the organization through which we received the grant to have the CNG pump in the first place several years ago. But I believe that our responsibility to the CNG station has expired. We don't need to continue to keep it open at this time. Based on that, I would say that at the very least the board consider, if not now, in the near future, to act on whether or not we're going to continue with it. If we're going to continue with this pump, know that you're going to continue to have consumers demanding that we repair or replace this pump. And if I'm going to invest $350,000 to $500,000, I'd rather invest it towards the pool, the facilities that we have.
Ms. you're going to talk?
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, that's not what we do here.
Yeah. We're not in the business.
I would agree.
In addition to, I mean, if it wasn't in the favor of the customer, you know, the county would be saying, that's why they're not. And then it's a lot of exposure, you know, in regards to, it's 24 hours, correct?
Correct.
So even if you considered spending this $350,000, I mean, the fuel business works around value. And I don't know what the value is right now, but I believe when I spoke with Ms. Randall, I think it was like 20,000 or 25,000 a year.
Oh.
And then the margins was it 18?
18,000.
And then the margins are very slim on
Yes.
whatever you sell, in addition to.
It wasn't beneficial.
And again, that's not what we do here. We're not in the fuel sales business. So I say we remove it and keep it for our 3 buses, and then you don't have to worry about weights and measures because you're not selling it. Or we're spending $350,000.
I have to agree with Mr. Ortega. We're not in the natural gas business. However, I do want to request that if we are going to go that route, that we notify the public, our consumers, ahead of time, so they know that we are going to not service them anymore, and that way they can find alternatives to this fuel.
The question that I do agree with both of you on this item. The question that I have is, could we donate this pump to another entity?
Well, we need it for a bus.
Yeah.
So
That would be
we have
solely for the school
3
district.
buses?
We need that pump for our buses.
For our 3,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
So it would be for our solely.
We would move the fence outward and keep the pump within our property. I don't think we're also in the rental business either, so I wouldn't consider leasing out our property for someone to take over that, because I think we would be in a worse off situation.
So then, so again, then the people in Calexico that use that pump, they will have to be notified with time that this is, exactly.
Yeah.
Give them a date and then just continue.
So do we want to make this an action item for a future agenda, or?
Board,
Yes.
Next month.
Ms.
Okay.
Aguilar?
Yeah, next agenda. I
Next
agree with
agenda.
him.
Ms. Aguilar?
How does Mr. Nielsen feel about it? Does he want to keep on selling fuel?
What?
Well, he's the one that maintains it.
I'll remove it tomorrow if you give me the word, so I don't want it there anymore.
Okay.
Well,
Yep.
we need it, don't we, for our buses?
Yes,
We
we
need-
would keep it solely for our buses.
For ourselves.
So this, you're saying you'd remove it.
You remove the fence.
The dispenser that sits outside the fence that supports the public, that can be gone. The tanks and the pumps are behind a fence, and we have a slow fill system that fills our buses. That will all stay. It's the dispenser that sits outside of our property that.
So I have a question, just one question. When we say we have had it, we repaired it, does that mean we as a district, or does that mean or somebody else?
Well, that means Green Fix. We have a monthly PM service that they come down from Coachella and provide a preventative maintenance, so to speak.
So when we had the grant in place, I know this is another question. When we had the grant in place, weren't those pumps replaced? I thought those pumps were new pumps when we brought in the grant.
That's correct. The grant, if I'm not mistaken, was $83,000, and they purchased what they could afford with the amount of the grant they got.
So were they new pumps or were they not?
The dispenser was used, believe it or not, but the pumps were new. The pumps are just severely undersized for the volume of gas that we're trying to dispense here. Like the board said, it's a 24-hour operation that the community buses and whoever else uses it can stop by and fill up. And it's just taxing our compressors to the point where they can't keep up, and they continue to burn out. And that's why
So we didn't get the right size for our pumps or the right dispenser in the first place?
Yeah, we may have, 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
what the volume was then, but I don't think
Now
that
the
the
demand
foresight was used.
So now the demand is higher.
Correct.
And
We've maxed it out, and it can't keep up.
so just in future reference, I mean, we can move the enclosure, we can shut down whatnot, but if in future we are able to secure another grant that would address the purchasing to be able to generate, to be able to handle what you're talking, the volume of dispensation, would that be a consideration in the future? And would it be beneficial to us?
Well, I think my say it wasn't beneficial because the sales is only like 18,000 a year, so it wasn't worth it, all the hassle and trying to get the grant to redo it or buy
No,
the pump and all
I
that.
understand,
Yeah,
but
so-
he also said that the volume of demand had increased, and the volume of demand is taxing the system and then the compressor, correct?
Correct.
So I would say that as time moves forward and more vehicles go in that direction, the demand is going to increase. And so I'm saying, in the future, if we secure a grant to be able to get the proper size pumps, would it might, in other words, not just leave it.
I would say that if we...
We need to
if
get
we
out of the
plan-
fuel business.
I think if we plan on getting more CNG buses, then possibly...
We bought these.
Yeah, well, if we ever decide to get any more, which I'm hoping, hint, hint, that we can, if we do get CNG buses, then we improve our infrastructure.
Right.
But I don't think we need to be serving the public.
No, I'm not saying,
yeah.
I'm not even saying that, I'm just saying,
Right.
but let's not shoot ourselves in the foot.
No, I can't
either
remove the
and
whole, I
shut
can't
it
remove the
down,
whole
you
thing.
know?
I just want to remove the dispenser from outside.
Okay.
I
Plug it
think,
off.
Norma, the unit that we have now would service our 3 buses.
Mhm.
And that suffices, that's good enough, but it would not the
Not the
entire
public.
community.
So is it wishes of the board to put this item on the next agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
As an action item? Maria? Thank you.
And well, how long are we gonna give our public notice?
Notice.
Well, you can decide that at the next agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. Plenty of time, so.
And
maybe
I
Mr.
would just
Terry.
wanted to interject that Mr. Flores has been employed for Calexico Unified for a little over 18 years.
Okay.
Okay. So that was item J5. Item K, action items, consideration of action approval of the following items. K1, memo of understanding between Calexico Unified School District and Imperial County Office of Education to provide professional development of to Our Lady of Guadalupe staff, to our Olga staff.
So Calexico Unified is required to provide public schools funding as part of one of the requirements of us receiving federal funding ourselves, and i.e. Title I, Title II. And so Olga is seeking to have professional development for its staff from ICOE. The fiscal impact is almost $9,600 of Title II funding.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
There's a motion by Mr. Calderon, there's a second by Mr. Ortega. If you have no more questions or comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Voting in favor, Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon. Item K2, memo of understanding between Point Loma Nazarene University and Calexico Unified School District for fieldwork experience, clinical practice, and service learning opportunities, intern program. Maria?
The board has previously approved over the years similar MOUs, which is for higher learning institutions to provide fieldwork experiences and service learning to its students, teachers that are, or counselors, people that are involved, enrolled in their teacher credentialing, counseling, psychology programs, et cetera, so that they can do field work in our school district. And so there's no fiscal impact to the district. We do recommend that this item be approved by our board.
Thank you.
Motion.
There's a motion by Mr. Calderon Jr.
Second.
There's a second by Ms. Real. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Voting in favor of Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon. Item K3, proposal from All Valley Fence to install new fence at Rockwood Elementary. Maria?
Part of our ongoing process of securing our schools, we need to provide some fencing for Rockwood School for the safety and security of staff and students. There's an fiscal impact of, is it 160,000 or 16,000?
161.
Oh, it's 16,000.
16,000.
Yeah,
Yes.
16K.
Okay, I wrote it right. I wasn't sure if I had written it right. So 16,000. So LCAP funding from goal number 7. So our recommendation.
Picture.
Maria, I do have one question.
Yes.
I just want to, I want to know how this came about, because I hadn't heard that we had an issue at Rockwood.
I think you talked about it in one of the
They did?
board meetings, right?
Yes.
At least
So what we've done is we've done an assessment at all of our schools
Okay.
to make sure that the fencing is appropriate. Similar to some of the other schools, we need some of that fencing for at some of our schools, we need fencing between the housing that's right adjacent to the school. Another one, particularly at Rockwood, you've got the kinder area, if I'm not mistaken, that's got slanted fences. So this isn't the slanted fences. This is for the back fence, correct? So this is for the housing that between the backyard of Rockwood. Yeah, those that are along Heber. You've got a lot of the back the houses, the back of the houses that our kids can see into their backyards. They can, if there's really not very much to protect our school and
similar to Kennedy Gardens.
Similar to Kennedy Gardens.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have that item on the floor. Is there a motion?
Motion.
There's a motion by Mr. Calderon. There's a second by Mr. Ortega. If no more questions or comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Voting in favor are Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon. That was item K3. Item K4, proposal for laboratory irrigation supply for South Bermuda needed at Ward Field.
So as a result of the continuous work being done at Ward Field, there's a lot of areas where there are holes. I want to call them potholes, but there's a lot of holes on the field, et cetera. So there's a lot of unevenness on the field. So we have someone who has generously decided to donate the laser leveling service, which is Mr. Abadi, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He did the work for Emerson Field as well. And so because he's going to do the laser leveling of the field, we decided that it would be good to replace the grass area. And so that, for safety measures, obviously, and that part would cost us about $40,000, a few $100 shy of $40,000 for safety under LCAP goal number 7.
Thank you, Maria.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is this the only company that gave us a quote?
No, we had more.
It was the only local company that provided us with the quote. The other company was out of Coachella area, and they were about 15 cents more expensive per square foot. All the other local companies just had the sod that were on the pallets, and this company is going to provide us with the large rolls, so that way we don't have all the seams on the field. So it was the cheapest and the local vendor here. Yeah, I tried.
Well, they're donating somebody's donating the actual.
Yeah, that's a different.
The laser leveling and the installing of that. So that's just the price of them coming and dropping it off, and then Mr. Body is going to take care of the rest. So.
I had called Maria about the artificial turf, but after going Googling it, and it seems like you pay more and with the years with artificial than with the sod. So
Yeah, there's a false belief that it's maintenance free, and it's truly not. You have to back.
It's about $450 a square foot,
for the drainage underneath, and then another on top of that, another $475 to $495 per square foot just for the turf layer.
Yeah, well, the cons were over the
Yeah.
pro, so
It looks nice though.
yeah, it would always be green and no maintenance, but there is maintenance actually, no water. Yeah. All right, I motion.
There's a motion by Mr. Calderon. Is there a second? There's a second by Ms. Real. If no more questions or comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Voting in favor of Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon. Item K5, but before we go to item K5, we have Ms. Maritza Hurtado for public comments.
Board, thank you very much for the opportunity. Public, thank you. Last Monday in your meeting, I came to this podium and I said my hopeful and positive thoughts. And I thought that today, when I came here for this item, there would be positive things to look at and to hear. I was really hopeful. When we left the meeting on Monday, there was some promises made here at the podium by some of our city council members, and to date, I myself have also tried to follow up with any additional information, any additional input from the city for the school district. However, I have been unsuccessful. Of course, as a bulldog myself, and as a person who's representing our city in this time, it is absolutely frustrating to see what is happening today. And in this time, with regard to such a positive project, I myself, together with my cousins and my friends, grew up with that pool. Lots of awesome memories. So when we got together after the earthquake to begin the preparations and the discussions to get this project going, it was with great eagerness and with a lot of love for our community and a lot of hope. It is absolutely frustrating to be in this position at this time representing my community and not to have any information as to why this is happening. And I can only say that I'm here for the friends that I have on this board that we work with and we see out in the streets every day almost when you're living your life in Calexico. So what this is representing today as far as seeing that the school district needs to move on and that you're very determined, I see two different things. Number one, I'm very proud of the fact that this board has accomplished something that we still need in the city of Calexico, which is you've learned how to spend money amongst your differences. And I watched that. And I've mentioned that to a couple of your board members that is my view of what has happened in this board and why you're able to accomplish so much and be so determined to move on, given the differences that we have in council. And you're right, Mr. Calderon, Lorenzo Calderon, that you hope that we could join you in the journey. So do I. And I'm more so here not as a solution, because I have no solutions for you. I tried in many different attempts to have a response as to why the city of Calexico is no longer communicating with you, why the city of Calexico is no longer answering your letters, why the city of Calexico is no longer participating in the pool meetings, which were so successful and so positive. I don't understand. Just know that me personally, I'm still here for you, and I'm ready to go swimming.
Thank you, Ms. Hurtado.
I'd like to, Ms. Hurtado, I want to thank you for coming here today and facing us. It takes a great woman to do that, to come up and tell us.
Bulldog.
Yeah, which is good. And I think this is, I mean, no one is, all of us that are sitting here, we want a pool. And you don't see what we actually debate in closed session, but I can tell you that it's left there. Whatever is said, it's there, and here we are making decisions to better our community and our school district. And again, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Calderon. Item K5. Discussion possible action regarding the swimming pool project, use of the pool, and funding issues relating to the city of Calexico, continuation from prior board meeting, April.
So, as of 11:55 this morning, and probably as of
Right now.
9:10 this evening, tonight, April 28th, 2016, Calexico Unified School District is not in receipt of any formal communication from the City of Calexico regarding its commitment of Measure H funds towards the swimming pool project. At this time, Calexico Unified School District will need to move forward with in seeking its and looking at all of its options we will be moving forward with the board's directive from Monday evening, the special board meeting of April 25th, 2016, to go forth with a plan to cover the balance of the pool costs. At this time, we will move forward accordingly, at minimum 50% of general fund, and then 50% moving forward with the LCAP for 2016-17. And I miss.
That is correct. Yeah.
So, again, we brought in this item because of we need to move forward, and we need to make sure that the project is completed. We have given our word, as we may have done, towards the citizens of Calexico of what we would do. Again, this is not a project that we started. You know, that dates back to Ms. Aguilar, and I want to personally thank her for making sure that this project got started. Now, it hasn't been easy, but we're here, and this is now. So the reality is that we're going to have to go alone on this project. So be it. We need to finish it. We will spend money, that is true. However, money comes and goes.
I have a question. I know Mai's not here, but previously she mentioned that if we use just the LCAP, we were going to have to put on there for 3 years. So now if we're going 50-50, what impact is that going to have in our?
Do you have those figures?
On our general
It will be
funds
this
and
year
the LCAP?
and next year.
It will, 2
2
years?
years.
Yeah,
And for the, okay. What,
It wouldn't impact as many services if we go half and half.
Yeah.
That's the.
Well, not that many.
Yeah, not that many, but it will, but.
It will impact the fund balance, right?
It
No.
will.
Yeah, yeah.
But
now in the last meeting, you also requested to do 50-50 and to do an amendment just
In the event the city came through,
Yeah.
which they
Before.
haven't.
Okay.
yes.
So we'll do 50% from LCAP and 50% from.
so 50%. So 50% LCAP from last year's budget and this year's budget, or this year's and next
This year
year's.
and next year.
Okay. So it's
So
only for 2
whatever-
years. Okay.
2 years.
And 50% out of our general fund.
Correct.
Board.
Just a request. We have 3 major projects going on right now. We also have negotiations around the corner. So I'd like to tell Maria that we have to be very conservative with the budget. I think I mentioned some of the things that we need to do. We need to start looking for the interest of our district. It is cutting some of our services, whether it's Title I or LCAP. So I'd like someone to come up with a plan to see how we're going to make up those $4 million. If that means, pardon?
It's 4.4.
4.5. But 4.7, I think.
4.5 is still the same.
Well,
It's a lot of money.
4 million.
regardless, but it is affecting our kids, and we need to, I think Maria already kind of understands the plan, and we just need to conserve our budget.
And we will monitor our expenses as we go.
Yes.
I mean, if it takes, taking 10 teachers in a van or administrators to a training, that's what we need
Opposed
to
to
do.
taking singular vehicles, we can certainly do
Yes.
that. We'll be mindful of those expenses.
Personal vehicles.
Yeah.
Also contacting local agencies, so in this case, the federal government, in order to see what kind of grants there are.
To seek additional funding?
Yes, additional
Absolutely.
funding to offset this new old debt that we have at this point. So
We certainly will.
for the next board meeting, can you bring us before we go there, we need to vote? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
There's a motion by Mr. Calderon Jr., there's a second by Mr. Ortega. If no more questions or comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Voting in favor, Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, myself, Mr. Calderon. So for the next board meeting, can you, did you vote no?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask,
Oh.
it didn't require a roll call vote?
Ms. Weller?
It would be safe to take a roll call vote.
Yeah.
And I presume that if the city does come forward with the money, that this motion can be.
That was my next, that would have been that was gonna be my next comment, so.
I'll let you finish your thought.
Thank you. So at this point, given the fact that we needed to do a roll call vote, do we undo this motion, or because
Withdraw the second, and then
I withdraw my second.
so Mr.
call for the second again.
Ortega withdraws his second, and the motion dies for the lack of second. So at this point, if the.
just call for another second.
No, okay, another second, and we're gonna do roll call.
Right.
Okay, second.
Second, there's a second, Mr. Ortega seconds the motion, and roll call. Ms. Aguilar?
Aye.
Ms. Real? Ms. Real?
Yeah, aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Mr. Calderon Jr.?
Aye.
Mr. Ortega?
Aye.
And myself, Mr. Calderon? Aye. So motion passes 5-0, voting in favor again, Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon. So again, my next point was, for the next board meeting, can you bring us all the details, exactly how is it that it's going to impact each and every
Program and department.
program? Okay, it will come from LCAP and from the general fund.
Absolutely.
Also, if in the event that the city council does come back and tells us that they're going to provide the money, to provide the funding, I guess it will be the wishes of the board to make an amendment.
Well, that's what Eric had recommended, and I agreed with Eric. We're still hopeful.
We can
and-
always accept those funds.
That's what I just.
So at that point, if that happens, and hopefully it will happen, if that happens, we will at that point redo our, this plan and incorporate those monies and see what is it that we have to come up at the end.
We can put the funds back into
Exactly.
LCAP and general fund.
Thank you. Okay. So that was action, that was item K5. Item K6, 2016-2017, Avid Agreement for Calexico High School, Enrique Camarena, and Willie Moreno Junior High School.
Is this an annual?
Yes, I believe this is one of the annuals that we have to do in order to keep the program going.
I motion to.
A second.
There's a motion by Mr. Calderon Jr., there's a second by Ms. Real. If no more questions or comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
And I think.
Question, did anybody mention that, about the school year?
Okay.
Well, it does say 2016-2017 school year.
Oh, yeah, there was a wrong.
Yes, there was a correction made. This morning, the agenda has said 2015-16 Avid agreement, but all the paperwork is for 16-17. When we verified with Ed Services, it should have read 2016-17 altogether.
Okay.
Thank you. So that was item K6.
Earning his money.
Item K, we voted, right?
What?
Pass it.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
we
right.
passed it.
Yes.
Item K7, resolution proclaiming May 11, 2016 as Teacher Appreciation Day. Maria?
So We want to thank our certificated staff, inclusive of teachers, counselors, psychologists, et cetera, district-wide, and proclaim May 11th as Teacher Appreciation Day. And so proclaiming May 11th, 2016 as Day of the Teacher, whereas it is well known that California has led the country and the world in its contributions to innovative school improvement, and whereas California teachers have long set the bar for innovation and creativity in their classrooms, and whereas by nature California teachers are proven leaders in bringing inventive practices and creativity into their classrooms every day, and whereas California has produced the thinkers, the scientists, the inventors, the technicians, and the engineers that have led our state to become the 8th largest economy in the world, and whereas California owes much of its success to its public schools, colleges, and universities that produce the scholars, thinkers, and educated workforce, and whereas California teachers, like their well-educated professional counterparts, continue to add to their own education by completing advanced degrees in coursework and professional development throughout their careers, and whereas California teachers can't help but be influenced by the innovative, stimulating, and creative atmosphere that surrounds them, and whereas California teachers continually look to enhance science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, also known as STEM programs, in their schools, and whereas California teachers strive to create an educational community that is inquiry-based, collaborative, and promotes creative thinking by providing teachers with the freedom and support to be great, and whereas this endeavor is itself an innovative approach that is changing school climate and culture where it is being practiced, and whereas the theme of the 34th Annual Day of the Teacher on May 11th is California Teachers, Leaders of Learning, therefore be it resolved that the Calexico Unified School District Board of Education hereby recognizes and wishes to honor the contribution of teachers, and hereby proclaims Wednesday, May 11, 2016 as Day of the Teacher.
I motioned it.
There's a motion by Mr. Calderon Jr., there's a second by Mr. Ortega. No more questions or comments. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0. For voting in favor of Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon.
Are we doing it, are we doing anything for them at the sites or something like that?
The individual administrators have events scheduled for their sites. We are also going to be providing a small gift on behalf of the board and the district to all of our teachers and our classified staff, if not by May 11th, by the week of classified week. It was ordered, and so we're making sure that it gets here on time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Humphries, for doing all the reading. Item K, that was item K7. Item K8, resolution proclaiming May 5th, I guess from the week of May 15th to May 21st, 2016 as classified school employee week.
So proclaiming May 15th through the 21st, 2016 as Classified Employees Week, whereas classified professionals provide valuable services to the schools and students of the Calexico Unified School District, and whereas classified professionals are the everyday heroes who play crucial roles in our schools and are integral to public education, and whereas classified professionals contribute to the establishment and promotion of a positive instructional environment, and whereas classified professionals serve a vital role in providing for the welfare and safety of Calexico Unified School District students, and whereas classified professionals employed by the Calexico Unified School District strive for excellence in all areas relative to the educational community, therefore be it resolved that the Calexico Unified School District Board of Education hereby recognizes and wishes to honor the contribution of the classified professionals to quality education in the state of California and in the Calexico Unified School District, and declares the week of May 15 through the 21st, 2016 as Classified School Employee Week in the Calexico Unified School District.
Thank you, Maria. So we have this on the floor. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
There's a motion by
Second.
Mr. Jr. There's a second by Ms. Aguilar. Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. One in favor, Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Alves, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon. K9, appoint and replace members of the Measure J Citizens Oversight Committee.
So for the Measure J, as you all recall, or I'm not sure if you recall, we did have a bond several years ago, over 10 years ago, and it was called Measure J. There should be an oversight committee. A lot of the members on that committee have long gone. They're either retired, moved away, et cetera. And so because there are still about $630,000 left of that Measure J funding, we're required to have an oversight committee to be able to expend those funds. And so the purpose of this oversight committee is to inform the public concerning the expenditures of the bond revenue, and in this case, the Measure J. And so it is therefore recommended that the board approve the following persons to the Measure J Oversight Committee: Hilda Ayon, Guillermo Burgos, Vincent Cuevas, Benjamin Horton, Sergio Licona, Richard Romero, and Alex Tamayo. And these are community members who have applied. We had a notice go out. It was posted on our website. They were able to apply. And so Mrs. Randall is recommending that all of them be approved by our board to serve on this committee.
Thank you, Ms. Ambriz. Is there a motion to approve?
I do have a question before we go any further.
Okay.
I know there was 2 or 3 members that were part of this.
And they are still part of it.
They're still part of it? Oh, so these are new?
These are new.
Oh, okay.
Those that are.
Oh, because
that
I
are-
don't, all right.
Yeah, those that were members and still live in the community were asked to continue.
Okay, all right.
And these are just new members to that committee.
All right.
There
I
needs to
motion-
be a minimum of 7
Oh, okay.
members on the committee.
Yeah.
So we can't have more than 7, so we'll keep the remaining 2, and the 7 applicants that applied, we'd like to accept them also.
All right.
So we'll have a committee of 9 moving
Okay.
forward, so.
I motion to approve.
There's a motion from Mr. Calderon Jr., there's a second by Ms. Real. If no more questions or comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Voting in favor of Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon. Item K10, adoption of new job description, homeless facilitator. Maria?
So for this, we are recommending that the board adopt a job description for a homeless youth facilitator. Mr. Gonzalez can speak in greater detail about it, but it is a position that we would like to, for the board to approve, that would be compensated through Title I funding. It is federal dollars that do need to be expended in a manner in which will support students, especially those that are at risk. And our homeless youth, foster youth, are obviously those that are in greater risk of not doing well academically. And through the, I want to say, the McKinley-Vento Act, there is a requirement that there be a district liaison that serves in this capacity. And so it is a position that is pretty much in every single district. And as the laws become more and more stronger advocates for our students, this is one of the reasons that this position has been, that we're presenting it to the board for adoption. And Mr. Gonzalez can answer any additional questions regarding this position.
Colleagues, do you have any questions for Mr. Gonzalez?
Well, yeah, I do. I don't know, you're going to give a presentation on it,
Or just?
Just still answer questions.
This is for the coordinator?
For the facilitator position, for the
Facilitator.
homeless?
So basically, this is like a teacher, counselor, a psychologist, and it's on
This-
special assignment, or?
It would be on special assignment. This person could be both hold either a credential or a counseling.
PPS.
credential. PPS, correct.
Okay.
And this person would work out of the Family Resource Center and work directly under Ms. Hortensia Armendariz, which is here. And, you know, the reason it becomes so critical for this person to be at the FRC is because they play a critical role with working with all the different agencies like social services and, you know, and all the agencies that work out of the FRC. So we need to be able, as a district, to identify our homeless population as per the McKinney-Vento Act. Not only identify, we need to follow and provide those services by law. And so we need to be in compliance. And so this is definitely a resource that is needed at the Family Resource Center to specifically address the need of our homeless population, our homeless students.
And I'm assuming this person will be in touch and working closely with the county,
Absolutely.
ICOE and county?
Absolutely, and because they're at the FRC, all our local agencies work directly, which is behavioral health, social services, all the other agencies in the county that work specifically with our homeless population would be at the FRC, where the homeless facilitator is located.
That's all I have. Colleagues?
Well, I know that, I had an opportunity to ask questions regarding this recommendation. We have 1,460 homeless students in Calexico that we serve. And it's a lot, don't get me wrong, and I know there is a need, but there's some questions. I'd like to see what the other districts are doing with this position. Who's serving this group right now?
I think, we are doing the best that we can, but there is a need to have additional resources to be able to properly serve this population. And so I'm going to say that through the Family Resource Center, they're doing the best that they can, but they're so far stretched with so many different services that they already offer that there is a need to have the resource, a human resource, to be able to support. This is no encroachment on the general budget. This position is being paid out of Title I funding.
Well, I know that. The only problem that I have is that, again, don't get me wrong, I know we have the need. It's just that I'd like to know what the other districts are doing. And if possibly even, I know that there is county personnel within that area. See if they could help us out with.
My understanding is that every district is responsible for their own reporting as far as their own homeless. So the county would reach out to the different districts, but as far as the responsibility of our homeless population and our youth, the district is responsible for
Well,
that
and Mr. Gonzalez, with all due respect, I did ask, and they gave me this number of 1,460, but I don't know if it was for 6 months, a year, 2 years, and so forth. So, and I know the population fluctuates. Not all these students are homeless forever.
Right. Well, I want to make sure that we do answer all the trustees' questions, and so Hortensia is here, and so she can.
And what I just passed is something that Mrs. Armendariz was able to forward me this afternoon, and it says it is the McKinney-Vento Act for Imperial County School Administrators, and one of the things, if you look on the second page, the last column, does your school district have a liaison? In this case, that would be the facilitator. And it says every school district must have a person in charge of making sure students who are homeless can enroll and succeed in school. The law calls for that person. The law calls that person the liaison, which must, and it lists all the things that they must do, make sure students are enrolled in school immediately, even if they do not have the papers they would normally need, settle disputes within a 5-day time period, help families and youth get their required immunizations, tell parents and youth about transportation services, make sure students get all the school services they need, tell parents and guardians about the exercise programs, existing programs and services, coordinate with social services personnel and other agencies to ensure access to education at their school, and make sure that the school procedures and board policies regarding homeless students are updated in agreement with the McKinney-Vento Act. And this is, one of the...
Is the job description supposed to read homeless and foster youth facilitator, or is it supposed to be a liaison? Facilitator, that's the job description.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi. I'm looking at the job description, and it encourages strongly encourages for the person to have knowledge of the act, being able to tap into resources, but nowhere do I see where it says that it requires a valid teaching credential or PPS credential. How was that determined? I'm looking at it. I know.
I'm going to go back
How is
to,
it determined?
I'm going to go back to what Mr. Lorenzo Calderon asked about what other districts are doing. Not only what other districts are doing is what is happening across the state. Really, the majority of the word is liaison, but for Calexico Unified School District, our liaisons are classified positions. Around the state, the person that holds this position is in an administration job. The McKinley-Vento Act has existed for many, many years. What's happening now with LCAP, now our homeless students, and I'll just say homeless because it's also our foster students, but this one is homeless. The law has changed so much for our homeless students. There's a lot of new legislation. Another one that, an assembly bill, 1806, that's the one that really concerns me with the amount of students that we have that are identified homeless. Remember, I'm going to let you know what is homeless. Homeless is not only a student that lives in a shelter, not only are students that live in a hotel, motel, or in cars. What happens here, especially, well, across the state, but especially in Imperial Valley, McKinley-Vento Act says that a homeless student is any student that is doubled up or tripled up because of an economic hardship. The majority of our students they qualify because of the economic hardship. The reason that I am requesting that it be a certificated position, because of this ABO 1806, our students need intense case management. That's what they need. This new law that came in since 2014, every single student first of all, they need to be identified as homeless. Our 11th grade students and our 12th grade students, just in 11th grade, right now we have 112 homeless students. This doesn't include our foster, but 112 of our 11th graders we need to do, and the other 64 seniors, those are the ones that really concern me because they might qualify to be able to graduate. If they're new students to us and they've been identified as homeless students, they do not have to fulfill what is our graduation requirements. AB 1806 allows these students to graduate with 130 credits, but we have to identify them first. We have to notify them if they qualify for this. So to be able to do case management for one person for 1,400 students, it's not going to happen. Our students these are our most fragile students. They deserve to have someone that is going to advocate for them. What have I done for these students is the easy stuff, like buying the school supplies and buying the uniforms, and maybe washing their clothes and making sure that I talk to their teachers. But they need intense case management so these students will graduate. And that's why, and that's why we're asking for a certificate. This AB 1806 also asks that the facilitator, the homeless facilitator, also attend IEPs with the student and their family, or the unaccompanied youth, because we do have unaccompanied youth here at Calexico High School and at Aurora. They have to attend the expulsion hearings, and for our unaccompanied youth, then they're really their temporary surrogate parents. So I don't know if that answer, it doesn't tell you anywhere in the law what the credential has to hold. It's just based on needs and based on my experience that I've done this for 13 years and based on new laws.
Well, why wouldn't it make sense also to have somebody who is social work? Because didn't we just recently hire somebody, a social worker?
Yes, the clinical social worker that we have, that takes care of more the emotional piece. The emotional piece of our students, and of course, the social worker is also looking into their attendance, but the social worker doesn't have the experience as a certificated employee, which is one of our teachers or one of our counselors or one of our school psychologists on the academic piece.
So you're
And,
telling me
I
somebody
think
like with
we're
a
missing-
with a master's in social work couldn't handle this?
Oh, that they couldn't handle it, but I really want someone that knows the educational piece, the academic piece.
Well, see, but hold on a second, Lynch. It's because well, either it's the academic piece or it's the homeless advocacy piece.
It's
So,
both.
Well, it's both, but I don't see, well, I don't see how somebody, unless the credential person holding that valid teaching credential or PP, maybe the PPS, I could see, has that intense knowledge that, because then you're going to get somebody that is learning on the job, and that's, like you said, these are our most fragile students. I work with that adult population. I know what you're talking about, but I don't understand how. I mean,
And honestly, they won't get it the first year or the second year. I've been doing this for 13 years,
Right.
and it takes a lot of experience. It takes a lot of training. And when you say, for example, why don't we hire another social worker? Because what this homeless facilitator is going to do, if one of our students does need behavioral health services or does need the emotional help, then that's why we have behavioral health, and that's why we have our social worker, and even some of our school psychologists or our counselors.
So are our school psychologists not handling the emotional part, or when a student is in distress?
Oh, definitely. But I'm talking about case managing 1,400 students.
I don't know.
That's not on their caseload, 1,000.
And I'm not against it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against it. I'm just saying, it's very specific skill set, a very specific knowledge, a very specific legislative knowledge, very specific educational knowledge that this person is going to have. And if they're handling our most fragile students, and we're basically going to be learning on the job.
But they won't be on their own. They will not be on their own. I mean, it's like, I'm not going to say like, oh, here, this is your job description, and I'm not going to step away. No, not at all.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's still not, they're still on the job, learning on the job.
Oh, unless,
Unless you recruit specifically.
unless we
for that.
recruit someone that, and this job description that you have there in front of you.
Or steal somebody from the county.
Yes, Well, just like we did with our social worker, she was coming from behavioral health services. This job description wasn't just made up. This job description is a job description of what the state has. Well, not only California, but also the United States, because this is the McKinley-Vento Act is a federal law. So this job description matches what the United States has, what California has, what ICOE has.
You done, Manorma?
I said I'm done.
Ms. Mendez, with all due respect, I think that we're not opposed to it. I mean, you gave us numbers. We understand that we have a population that we have to serve. I think it's hard to understand is that this item was placed on the agenda without giving us an opportunity to kind of research and look at it. I mean, I've asked, what are the other districts doing? If this is a big thing, then I'm sure that the other districts have already implemented something to serve these kids. Because I'm sure that in El Centro, Brawley, and Imperial, they have the same situation. If not worse, probably less than us. But we need some information. And again, we go back to being conservative. We have to be conservative because we're making some big decisions here. And just to say that just because it might qualify, it doesn't, to me, it's hard to understand.
What do you mean it might qualify?
Well, you said because not only the homeless, but also the other population.
Our foster students.
The foster, and you said it might qualify. I don't know that.
No, what do you mean?
We need to find out, because I believe you were talking about funds, or this individual being able to work with the foster students and being able to.
Title I, and that's why we only left it as homeless. Title I will cover for this person to work with our homeless students. Okay, our foster students.
We understand
Okay.
that. We understand that. I have no problem. We need to have someone there. But again, with Ms. Aguilar, and I think I mentioned earlier that, I mean, certified, nothing against certified. I mean, we want the best for our kids, but also we want to make sure that we are taking care of our budget. Do you understand? I mean,
With what I know that is happening here.
So, you know
in-
what? I would like to recommend that we table this, get more information, and then bring it back.
Mr. Calderon Jr., this position will be paid with Title I.
I understand that.
It doesn't affect our general fund.
If we don't spend that money, we send it back.
Oh, but we have other things, other pressing issues, but I mean, if that's,
What I can recommend is, what I would recommend is that we approve this. Just because we approve it doesn't mean that we have to hire somebody right away. So we can approve it while they do their background, just like you requested, and look what other districts are doing.
I can give you, sorry for interrupting you, but I can provide you with what Imperial Valley is doing. But then I can also provide you with what other districts are doing in Southern California.
That would be nice.
I mean, even verbally right now.
No, not right
Okay.
now. In a future meeting, if you can just provide that information and the average of how many students we would be servicing, okay? Because we need all that information. Just because we approve it doesn't mean that we need to hire somebody right away. So.
I think what your concern is about using our general fund,
Yes.
and it's going to be funded through Title I, so it doesn't affect, I mean, it's self-paying itself pretty much for that position, correct?
but
If you don't
there's
spend
more
the money, you
questions.
gotta send it back.
Yeah.
But it's more questions here. I mean, we got 1,460 kids. Is it just one person that's gonna be able to do a good job? I mean, there's questions here that, what if, you know? So you might, do you understand where I'm getting at? I mean, we got this population. We don't know how long we're gonna have it. It could increase, it could decrease. So there's actually needs to be some research on this if we're gonna continue. I mean, because, it's hard to understand that, not that we need the service, it's obvious, because we have the kids that need this help, but I mean,
Just knowing that we're in Imperial Valley, just knowing what the unemployment rate is. We know that, yes, these numbers will probably change, but once these students are identified as homeless in one school year, they continue to be homeless. And just knowing where we're at in Imperial Valley. So back to, if you allow me, what Imperial Valley is doing regarding who their facilitators are, or who their liaisons are. It's either, most of them are administrators, and it's another duty assigned. But are they really, really helping our homeless students by doing this intense case management? No, it's not happening. It's not happening. And that's why I am advocating for this. I'm a member of CASWA, so I represent Imperial Valley, Southern California. And what are the other districts are doing? Some of the districts, because of LCAP and because of the number of their homeless students, they have been hiring a homeless facilitator. And that's the best thing that you can do, because we need someone to advocate for these students and to really do that intense case management. It's not other duties as assigned, and you just maybe help some of these students, but just homeless and not foster, those are close to 1,000 students.
I don't think I'm speaking against hiring somebody. I don't think Mr. Calderon Jr. is speaking against hiring somebody, but I do have some questions, and I'm doing some research as you guys are talking. And in another position that's here in the U.S., minimum qualification, knowledge, skills, and abilities required. Must possess a bachelor's degree in counseling, social work, psychology, education, or related field with some related experience providing service for school-aged children, or any equivalent combination of education and experience that would provide the noted knowledge, skills, and abilities. Must possess a demonstrated knowledge and understanding of school law as it relates to homeless students, intervention strategies, referral sources. Must possess excellent assessment, case management, interpersonal, and communication skills. We're describing you. But we didn't.
Someone that has passion.
We need to clone you.
Well,
we need someone with.
once you approve this position, I'll make sure that they're cloned. Give me an opportunity to clone somebody by approving this position.
Special skills.
So we have this item here in front of us. So Like I said, just because if we approve it, doesn't mean that we're gonna hire somebody immediately, okay?
Will this start next school year, or, I mean, 2016, 17, or when?
If we hire somebody, now this, we're just
Well,
approving,
we-
we're just approving the job description, we're not approving
Well,
in the
that's
position.
That's where that's where I'm saying, I can't speak for Lynch, but that's where I'm saying, you're just only saying it's gonna be either someone with a credential or someone with a PPS. You're not leaving leeway for other, like what I just read, other qualifications. What if we don't find, and that's what we're stuck with, because this is what we adopted. And I think that's what Lynch is saying, well, wait a minute, I think it's, yeah, I think we
You
have
want
to.
to amend and what the qualifications are.
Yeah, I would.
And that the best person that we interview gets the job.
I would. That's my personal opinion, I probably.
But,
The only-
so now I'm intrigued here because now, somebody with a bachelor's degree or a teaching credential or a PPS in a school counseling, unless we want to add somebody with a PPS in school psychology, or somebody with MSW with a social
Let me give you
social
an
worker.
example. Right now, we've got students in the Masters in Social Work at San Diego State. We've got 2 students doing their internship. That they're dealing with people, not just with the emotional, but if we've got people that we've also
Well,
got homeless people.
Then make
you
the
know?
motion to add
So-
these new requirements or the requirements to the job description. If that's what you want, let's go ahead and do it.
Can't do that, you
You
gotta
can't just,
negotiate.
yeah.
Yeah, so partly this is a certificated position, even if it's with the PPS or the social worker. So we would have to, well, if the wishes of the board are, I mean, just to put things in perspective, to have it as a PPS or a, social worker, which is also a certificated position here in our district. If that's the wishes of the board, then I would recommend that we table it, and that way we can meet with ACT and discuss that, because this is a new position, new job description, and it is something that we have to discuss with ACT. So, if the recommendation, I mean, I hear a recommendation as far as, a PPS or social worker, that could be a recommendation, but that would be something that we have to take back to ACT.
Could we meet? Could we have a meeting? I mean, not us, and talk about that pretty soon, or would it take time?
Well, of course, it's in the interest of, I would hope anybody in education would get somebody to handle this population as soon as possible. I think that with the requirements the way they are, we're gonna get plenty of qualified candidates. I don't understand personally why this is becoming such a huge issue, but I'm
Yeah.
open to discussing it, because, I mean, you've got requirements there that can have a counselor in that position. You
Or a
can have-
teacher, yeah.
Yeah,
A social worker.
or a
I know, I
teacher,
think it sounds like she's, not saying scared, but she's thinking that there might not be eligible candidates, but like you just mentioned, I think there's counselors, and we have a lot of teachers with both those credentials that would qualify for this position, so.
And the skills?
Well, if they're in the classroom
You're
and
describing
and
you're
counselors,
des-
I'm pretty sure
you're
they
describing
have
a
the
school
skills to
counselor
be
right
able to-
there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask me, you're describing a school counselor.
And partly, like Ms. Armendariz said, we're looking for the best candidate. And so, as we look for that pool, in that group of candidates, you could have an individual with a credential who's working on a PPS, or has a credential but has the ability to have an authorization as far as with a PPS or work towards it. So it doesn't exclude, I mean, what I don't want it to do is exclude, or you think that we're not going to get a good pool, because, we'll definitely go out and try to get the best individual candidate that's going to match for that particular position. And yes, I hope that we find somebody so we can clone Hortensia, because she does an amazing job. And when we talk about mentors, you have the greatest mentor when it comes to FRC and homeless standing right next to me.
So,
I just have one last comment. I don't think you are going to have a problem filling that position. What you're going to have a problem with is getting the right person for that job. Because if we're concerned about this population, then that's the problem you're going to have. Because I'm sure looking at these qualifications, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that would be willing to go out there, but just to have the right person in that job. So, I mean, I like your idea. I'd like to table it. I like Ms. Almendares to do some research, call around and see what they're doing in the other districts. Because I'm sure there's homeless everywhere else.
So you're saying that a school counselor
Or
couldn't do this job, that a
psychologist
school
or,
counselor wouldn't have these?
You know, if we're going out, there's county social workers that are doing casework out there right now that don't
So
have these qualifications.
what else do you want? Do you want somebody with a PhD in social
No,
work?
I don't. I want the right person.
Yeah, must mean you're gonna be part of
The interviews,
process and
definitely.
everything to make sure that
Definitely.
not only do they have the qualifications, but the experience and the hands-on and
Definitely.
everything, and you're 13 years.
And we're not limited to Calexico Unified School District. Calexico Unified School District has awesome, certificated employees that can fill this position, but it doesn't say only CUSD. Not that I'm saying that we're gonna hire anybody out of CUSD, but it just asks for a certificated credential or the PPS for counseling. We really need to do what's best for our students.
I call for the question. We need to vote on this. I make
Well,
the motion to.
one more.
I already called for the question.
You didn't have a second?
Well, I don't have a second, so if you guys want to continue talking about this, or we
I'll
can-
second it.
Thank you, Mr. So Mr. Ortega, second my call for the question. So I move to approve. I make the motion to approve this job description. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Mr. Ortega. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 No.
Motion passes 3-2. Voting in favor are Ms. Real, Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon. Voting a no are Ms. Aguilar and Mr. Calderon Jr. At this point, I really need to take a 5-minute break. And also, at this point, I would like to extend the meeting until 11 o'clock. So I make the motion to extend until 11 o'clock. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Mr. Ortega. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you.
Voting in favor are Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. It is now 10:01. We just did item K10, now K11, approval of single school plans for student achievement, SPSAs. Maria?
So the SPSAs, we have to have our SPSAs current so that we can use our federal funding, such as title, especially as they relate to Title I. And so what we have for approval are the SPSA's final versions, so that they can be aligned to our CARS, which is our basically our consolidated application. If you have any further questions on this, this is an item that Mrs. Montaño could address, but it's basically our final SPSAs are aligned to our reporting under the consolidated application form program. And CARS is the consolidated application reporting system. It's just an alignment.
Is there a motion to approve?
I have some questions before we.
Okay. Mrs. Montaño.
Good evening. How are you? I have a few questions. Can you define SPSA for us? Let us know what it's all about.
SPSA stands for Single Plan for Student Achievement, and it's a required document because under the ESEA Act, we are required to have a plan that outlines how we are going to spend our Title I funds, which is also aligned to our LEA plan. And there are requirements within the SPSA that includes a comprehensive needs assessment, data, taking it to your school site council, having discussion of how that's going to be spent, and then approval of the plan, and sharing with the stakeholders of the school, including teachers. And like I said, a finalization of approval of the plan, and what you have before you are the final versions that are aligned, as Ms. Ambris said, to our consolidated application reporting system. When we are reviewed by the state government, They ask to see our last board-approved single plans, and those must be aligned to our report that we turned in February.
And the reason I'm asking, there is some, not charts, but there's some information there where they asked all these questions. In the not met, there's a lot of no's.
Mhm.
So my question to you is there a corrective action plan to fix these no's? Because they should read yes, correct? Like, not knowing what this plan now that I know, there's a lot of no's, did not meet, did not meet. So I take it that they want to see yeses on those little blocks.
Yeah, and actually, you're right, you're correct. We want to see yeses. And as part of our program effectiveness, we are required, each site is required to evaluate the services of their SPSA. And they are required to go through a process with their school site council, with their stakeholders, to talk about and chart what worked and what didn't, and what will change as a result of that. And that's called the evaluation of SPSA services.
So that would be a CAP, so to speak, a corrective action plan to address that.
Yes.
Is there deadlines on these?
Well, yes and no. There's 2 cycles of SPSAs. One that is used by districts is one that allows the SPSA to be approved in the fall for that school year. And the one that we follow has us approve our SPSAs in the month or couple of months prior to the new fiscal year, because technically you should not spend your Title I dollars until it's been approved by your school site council and approved by the board. So what you'll see that they will bring before you a 16-17 version by May or June that is tentative. And when they receive their preliminary allocations, they will again bring that back to their school site council along with the evaluation of their SPSA services, make adjustments, and then you'll see it back to you again, the board meeting, in around this time again next year, that will have those changes, those versions, including the alignment to CARS again.
So those no's become yeses eventually, or we're hoping?
We hope, yes.
Because, I mean, I didn't go through all the school plans, but the ones I went into, I mean, a lot of them had no's. So it brought a kind of a...
And I'm glad that you mentioned that you went through them. It is, in some districts, board members adopt a school or 2 and are responsible for reviewing them throughout the year. And so that's definitely something that if the board would like to consider doing.
I like that idea.
They decide amongst themselves who gets what school, and then before it's approved, they get it with plenty of time to read, and if they have questions, then...
Well, my only concern is that, you know what, that's good that we know that there's an issue. It's just the follow-up to make sure that it is being changed, or it's attempted to change.
Sites are required to monitor their SPSAs through their school site councils, and so they're required to talk about whether or not the services that they're providing through their Title I dollars that's reflected in their SPSAs are actually working, and if they're not, what are they changing?
All right.
Do we have any more questions? So we have item K11 on the floor. Approve single school plans for student achievement, SPSAs. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
There's a motion by Ms. Aguilar. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Ms. Real. If no more comments or questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Voting in favor, Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, myself, Mr. Calderon. Item K12, approve the use of cooperative purchasing network, TCPM, piggyback bid to purchase playground equipment and pour in-place surfacing from Play and Park for Kennedy Gardens Preschool.
Mr. President, before we go on to K-12, I'd like to request that you consider in future agenda item or direction or retreat whenever you want to consider the recommendation by Ms. Montaño regarding adopting sites for that purpose.
Mr. Weiler, would that be?
No, I'm not saying that to do it now.
No, but I'm saying that something that we could vote on a motion, or is it would be something?
Or give direction, however we wanna, it needs to be addressed, but I like that idea because it's hard to encompass all of them, but if we each take a responsibility for 2 or 3, it makes sense, right?
It does not require a vote. You as board president would have the discretion during the agenda meeting, for example. If you're seeking direction from the other board members, though, you could informally ask them now.
Maria, so for the next board meeting, we can have a discussion regarding this, what Ms. Aguilar just mentioned. Thank you. Okay, so that's, thank you, Ms. So that discussion
Yes.
regarding adopting, each board member adopting certain schools.
Add it to the tote bag.
So item K-12, we have item K-12 on the floor.
So you've read that already, and so basically there's a need to replace the sand in the preschool playground at Kennedy Gardens. As you know, we do have a very serious CAT problem out there, feline problem. And one of the things that they do is that they defecate in the sand. And so we've tried different things. We've removed sand, we've put in new sand, and it continues to be a problem. So one of the things that we've done is actually remove the sand from the sandbox. And we need to put a pour-in-place surfacing, kind of like the kinder area at Cesar Chavez, correct? And that's what we're asking to do for Kennedy Gardens. It's a really big issue. We've had a lot of complaints about that, and we really want to remedy that. Because it exceeds the threshold of the 86,000 is why it's been brought here. Obviously, it would cost us about 161,000 to do this pour-in-place surfacing for Kennedy Gardens, and with that would come a new DSA-approved shade structure, because the shade structure that currently is there is not up to code with DSA, and it was something that was built a few years ago and prior to anybody seeking any type of approval. So our recommendation is that the board approve this.
Motion to approve.
Well, I have a question before we go on.
Sure.
We had already approved shades for that school, correct? 3?
Yes,
shades?
we have shades already for that school.
And this is for the kinder?
This is for the preschool area.
Oh,
So it's going to be the sand plus a new shade structure.
But is that one of the shade structures that we had already?
No, this is an additional.
It's someone made it.
This is in addition to.
Is that included in this cost already? Or
Yes.
And what are we going to do about the cats?
Cat traps.
Mr.
I mean, because if we don't get rid of the cats, we're still going to have a problem.
The cats.
Well, honestly, we reached out to the city and asked for them to provide traps and see if they can get animal control out there to help us out, and they don't have that. They're unwilling to help. There's not a whole lot we can do except for take away their potty. Take away the place that they're using to use the
It's under
restroom.
they live under the trailer, one of the trailers.
Correct.
And there was a hole.
That's correct. And that hole is still there, and the reason why that hole is still there is if we go board it up, then you're going to have 12 dead cats underneath the trailer, which poses a whole new set of problems. So until we can get those cats trapped and removed, we can't seal that trailer up.
How about the county? The county doesn't have feline control?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know. We've been trying to reach out to the local city. We've been reaching out to your pest companies, that handle our bee removal and stuff like that, and they don't really deal with felines.
We can't, I'm sorry, I talked to Chief Gomez about that. There's nothing we can do about the cats. They are protected under some law. We cannot do anything about it.
There's your answer.
They have rights. I talked to the chief already.
So we take away their toilet is what we can do.
Yeah, that's what he said. Don't feed them. Other than that, make them another toilet.
The other piece that's really difficult there is that there appears to be a neighbor along that street, I'm not sure which one, that likes to
Peter.
house more than enough cats. She has a lot of cats in her yard, and she takes in strays, and she feeds them, and they're coming into, one of our theories is that they're coming into our playground.
That's what he said.
So,
And the trailer, is the trailer being used?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there is traps up in the gym if you need any. The Varner gym, there's 3 of them, so.
I just found out they're protected, so I'm a little weary now.
Well, and the reason I'm bringing this up is it's not just one cat. We counted how many? 5, 6,
At least.
7 when we were there. I mean, there's a population of cats under that trailer.
There sure is.
So eventually it's going to become a problem.
Yeah. What our main concern is obviously the sand that the kids are playing in. That is that's their fall zone on their playground equipment. So by removing that, it eliminates the hazard of the kids coming in contact with the cat feces.
So for the future, are you going to put a tarp there to protect the sand? I mean, or you're not going to replace
no,
the sand?
that's what we're trying to do here with this approval is all the sand's going to be removed.
There will be no sand.
It's going to be that pour and play rubber fall protection.
Oh, okay.
2 brand new shade structures and some new playground equipment. All within that quote there.
And this fund is coming out of?
LCAP, goal number 7.
Make
All right, motion to approve.
Is a motion by Mr. Calderon?
She had already made a motion, so.
Oh, second.
There's a motion by Ms. Aguilar, the second by Mr. Calderon Jr., and no more questions or comments. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Voting in favor, Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon. Item K13, Certificate of Employment Report.
So, I think.
Well, you did review
motion
those,
With the addition of that, adding that math teacher, correct?
Is the name?
The revision.
Yeah. What's the name of the teacher?
Did you guys finish?
No.
Okay, so I make the motion to approve item K13, Certificate of Employment Report with the addition to the transfer area to Arturo Sandoval to CHS, to Calexico High School for the math position. That's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Then a second by Mr. Calderon Jr. If no more questions or comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Voting in favor of Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon. Item K14, Classified Employment Report. Is there a motion?
Motion.
There's a motion by Mr. Calderon Jr. Is there a second?
Me.
There's a second by Ms. Real. No more questions or comments. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Voting in favor of Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Real, Mr. Calderon Jr., Mr. Ortega, and myself, Mr. Calderon. At this time, item L, reconvene to earlier closed session. We will reconvene to closed session, and we will be back when we get back. Thank you.